Top 15 Most Mysterious and Ancient Tombs Discovered by Archaeologists That Shocked Human History. Have you ever wondered what lies hidden beneath layers of earth and rock shaped by thousands of years of history? Untold secrets, spirits that have slumbered for millennia, and ancient tombs that are not merely resting places, but gateways to humanity's mysterious past. Since the dawn of recorded history, we have been fascinated, even obsessed, with death and with what might come after. That's why ancient civilizations built grand, intricate tombs, structures that housed not only mummified remains, but also vast treasures of culture, religion, and belief systems that had never been seen before. Each archaeological discovery of an ancient tomb doesn't just astonish scientists, it shakes the very foundation of what we thought we knew to be true. In today's video, you'll uncover the top 15 most mysterious and ancient tombs ever discovered, from the majestic pyramids of Egypt to the deep underground burial chambers of China, to the untouched, forbidden tombs of South America. Each tomb tells a story, holds a mystery, and perhaps carries a warning. So what exactly are these tombs? What terrifying and shocking secrets lie buried within them? Let's find out right now. The 700-year-old tomb of a powerful Ming Dynasty eunuch. In March of this year, Chinese archaeologists revealed key details about an excavation conducted from July to December 2023. The excavation took place at a Ming Dynasty tomb, dating from 1368 to 1644, located in Xinzhou, Shanxi Province, central China. The tomb features exterior door carvings of flowers, along with a number of valuable ancient artifacts. According to the archaeologists, an inscribed stele found in the tomb helped them identify it as belonging to Wang Luo, a eunuch who governed the city of Xinzhou and is believed to have died in his early 50s. The inscription also contained practical life advice, such as, "Those who borrow money to become wealthy should not be arrogant. They should adjust their behavior and be respectful when interacting with people of all ages." During the excavation, two well-preserved wooden coffins were uncovered. The larger one was painted yellow-brown and decorated with intricate patterns, along with an inscription that read, "Commissioned by the Ming court to serve the imperial palace as an official." The smaller coffin featured floral, grass, and peacock motifs, with colors and details still vividly visible. The coffin chamber contained two niches filled with intact ceramic vessels, believed to have once held grains and oil. In a private room behind the tomb, archaeologists found wooden furniture buried with the deceased. Items discovered included a variety of bowls, plates, and jars, giving the impression that people had once shared a meal there before leaving. Also found were candlesticks, incense burners, pewter vases, cups, painted wooden statues, and other ritual objects. One chair still bore beautiful golden patterns on its backrest. The archaeologist noted, "The tomb is well constructed, with many preserved wooden funerary objects and offerings. These items are rare in Xinzhou and even throughout Shanxi province. They may provide valuable insights into the tomb's structure, local social life, and burial customs during the Ming Dynasty." Eunuchs played a significant role in Chinese history. They first appeared during the reign of Emperor Huan of the Han Dynasty, 146 to 167 AD, which spanned the Western Han, 202 BC, 9 AD, and Eastern Han, 25-220 AD periods. Eunuchs often held positions in government and sometimes wielded considerable influence over the fate of dynasties. At the height of the transition from the Ming to the Qing dynasty, an estimated 70,000 eunuchs lived in the Forbidden City. However, the eunuch system was ultimately abolished in 1924 when Puyi, the last emperor of China, was expelled from the Forbidden City. The last known eunuch, Sun Yaoting, passed away in 1996. The excavation of Wang Luo's tomb was part of a highway construction project in Shanxi last year. As a result, archaeologists also uncovered 66 other tombs dating from the Longshan culture, 3000 to 1900 BC, to the Qing dynasty, 1644 to 1911. These discoveries are considered highly significant and offer fascinating insights into China's archaeological history. The hidden tomb in the ancient city of Petra. Petra, the ancient city located in Ma'an province, Jordan, is one of the world's most famous archaeological sites and holds exceptional historical significance. Once the capital of the Nabatean kingdom, a powerful regional force that thrived from the 4th century BC to the 2nd century AD. Petra is known for its breathtaking architecture carved directly into rose-colored sandstone cliffs, giving the city an air of both mystery and antiquity. Among Petra's many landmarks, the treasury, also known as Al-Khazna, is the most iconic. This intricately built temple was long believed by Bedouin descendants of the Nabateans to house the gold and treasures of the Egyptian pharaohs. The lore and legends surrounding the treasury have drawn millions of visitors each year. However, a recent archaeological discovery has sparked new questions about Petra's history. Led by Dr. Pierce Paul Kriesman, Executive Director of the American Center of Research, a team of archaeologists excavated beneath the treasury and uncovered a tomb containing at least 12 human skeletons, along with valuable artifacts dating back approximately 2,000 years. This discovery followed years of research and investigation. Back in 2003, archaeologists discovered 2 tombs beneath the left side of the treasury. Later studies suggested these rooms were not unique. Using ground-penetrating radar, Dr. Krasman and his team identified physical features beneath the right side of the structure, indicating a much larger area that might contain additional tombs. The excavation commenced in August 2024, ultimately uncovering a remarkably intact tomb. Unlike previous Petra tombs, which were often empty or looted, this one held complete human remains and burial goods made of bronze, iron, and ceramics. According to Dr. Kriesman, this is a rare and invaluable find, offering deep insight into the life and burial practices of the Nabateans, an ancient nomadic people. The skeletal remains were generally well preserved, though some showed signs of mold damage due to Petra's seasonal humidity and flooding. One skeleton was even found holding a ceramic cup resembling the Holy Grail, further adding to the mystery of the discovery. This find is not only archaeologically significant, but may also unlock many secrets about Nabatean society, particularly their burial customs. Despite their rich and complex culture, much about the Nabateans remains unclear, especially their apparent egalitarian approach to burial. Previous tombs showed little distinction between royal and common burials, making it difficult for researchers to determine whether this newly found tomb belonged to royalty. Petra is not only one of the new 7 wonders of the world, but also a place full of unsolved mysteries and untold stories. And perhaps, with each new discovery, Petra's role in the world of archaeology and historical research will continue to grow. As you can see, the wonder of this ancient city lies not only in its stunning architecture, but also in the hidden stories that researchers are still slowly bringing to light. The 4,800-year-old tomb in Poland reveals a terrifying secret. A prehistoric burial site in Poland has unveiled a brutal massacre of women and children from a large family that occurred approximately 4,800 years ago. That is the theory proposed by researchers after analyzing the remains of 15 prehistoric individuals discovered near the village of Kozice, a town in Przeworsk County in the southern Polish voivodeship. The tragic burial site contained no remains of adult men, leading experts to believe that the women and children were killed while the men were away, possibly on a hunting expedition. Researchers theorize that the men may have returned home only to discover that their families had been slaughtered by a rival group. The surviving warriors then carefully buried their loved ones, placing mothers holding their children together, along with jewelry and domesticated animals. Excavations in 2011 had already uncovered this mass grave, with crushed bones and cut skulls indicating that the victims died violent and painful deaths. Bone analysis showed that all the individuals came from a closely related family group living around 2800 BC. 4 of the women were buried with their children, and among the men in the grave, 4 were identified as half-brothers. One middle-aged woman was found next to her 2 young sons, and another woman, estimated to be between 30 and 35 years old, was laid to rest with her teenage daughter and 5-year-old son. The absence of adult male relatives remains unexplained, but researchers suspect they may have been out hunting or farming at the time of the attack. Numerous grave goods were also discovered at the site, indicating that these individuals belonged to the globular amphora culture. DNA analysis confirmed they were farmers. According to a study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences of the United States, the corded ware people may be responsible for this gruesome act. Despite sharing some DNA with the victims, the corded ware culture was rapidly expanding across Europe at the time, which may have led to hostile encounters. The corded ware people were known to mix with the Yamnaya, considered by some scholars to be the most violent group of the period. The Yamnaya culture emerged around 3300 to 2600 BC on the Eurasian steppe and quickly spread across the continent, overwhelming and destroying other cultures. Ancient DNA evidence shows that the Yamnaya were well-fed, tall, and muscular. Some archaeologists suggest that their warrior tribes included highly skilled horsemen, who primarily lived on meat and dairy products and were remarkably physically strong. So, who were the globular amphora people? They lived in Central Europe from around 3400 to 2800 BC, contemporaneous with the corded ware and Yamnaya. They were primarily agricultural traders and livestock herders, especially pigs. Research shows that their settlements were small, basic, and temporary, but their burial customs were quite sophisticated, featuring wide grave pits and grave goods including animal bones and sacrificial offerings. They too shared DNA with the expanding corded ware populations and eventually intermingled with the Yamnaya following invasions from the west. Some theories suggest the Yamnaya invaders killed off all the men and raped the women, quickly spreading their bloodline through sheer force. Such brutal acts of aggression likely sparked widespread outrage during the Stone Age, compelling communities to resist the growing Yamnaya power. Evidence of resistance was found at Uhlau, Germany, where an archaeological site revealed the burial of a large number of women and children. Isotope analysis of the adults' teeth showed that they were not local, having grown up elsewhere, possibly as captured women taken by the Yamnaya. Among the 13 bodies found, 5 bore injuries likely resulting in death. Experts believe this may have been a revenge attack by rival tribes. It's assumed the men had left the site to tend livestock when the raid occurred, leaving the women and children vulnerable and defenseless. Uhlau stands as a potential example of retaliation by oppressed local populations, though experts warn the event also includes many anomalous elements, and that much remains to be uncovered in the future. The nearly 3,000-year-old tomb of an ancient woman. In the Yanghai region of the Turpan Basin, located in the Xinjiang Autonomous Region of northwest China, archaeologists made a significant discovery: the tomb of an ancient woman dating back nearly 3,000 years. Inside, they not only found her remains, but also an exceptionally crafted saddle, shedding light on the region's role in the early history of horseback riding in Central Asia. This find confirms a critical theory, that Yanghai and the Turpan Basin played a strategic role in the development of horseback riding, especially during the first 500 years of the first millennium BC. The saddle may represent the earliest stage of saddle-making history, featuring design elements still visible in modern saddles today. The saddle was meticulously crafted, with padding made of cowhide, filled with a mix of deer hair and camel fur to soften its stiffness and ensure rider comfort. Its estimated age ranges from 727 to 396 BC, making it one of the most important ancient innovations in horseback equipment. Strikingly, the saddle was found positioned beneath the woman, as if she were sitting on it. She wore a leather coat, woolen trousers, and short leather boots, demonstrating the deep integration of horseback riding into daily life. In addition to the saddle, the tomb also contained other items, such as a ceramic cup with a handle, fragments of wool fabric, and remains of clothing, including a leather coat and short boots. Though most of the textiles had decayed over the millennia, the remarkable preservation of these artifacts provides rare insight into the material life of ancient Yanghai residents. Previous studies showed that around 300 years ago, people in the Altai Mountains had begun consuming horse milk, but the domestication and riding of horses in southern regions like Yanghai occurred later, around the 12th century BC. In fact, within the Yanghai Cemetery, archaeologists discovered bridles in 19 tombs, dating from the 10th to 3rd centuries BC, suggesting the gradual integration of horses into both everyday life and warfare. The saddle found in Yanghai is especially important, not only as evidence of technological advancement, but also for what it tells us about a shift in mindset among riders. Before saddles, people relied solely on bridles to control horses, but the creation of saddles signaled a growing concern for comfort, safety, and the well-being of both rider and animal. It marked a transformation in how horses were perceived, not just as tools of labor or war, but as critical companions in human movement and development. The vampire tomb in Bulgaria. A recent archaeological discovery has stirred significant attention near the border of Bulgaria and Greece, where renowned archaeologist Nikolai Ovcharov unearthed a 13th-century vampire skeleton. The remains are believed to be those of a man between 40 and 50 years old, buried in a special ritual intended to prevent a mysterious death from leading to a return from the underworld. This find offers a fascinating glimpse into ancient beliefs and the bizarre burial customs of the medieval era. The discovery was made on October 9th, while Ovcharov was excavating in the ancient city of Perperikon, located in southern Bulgaria, once a thriving center of the Thracians over 5,000 years ago. Archaeologists found that the skeleton had been pierced through the chest with an iron rod weighing about 2.2 pounds, believed to have come from a plow blade. Additionally, the left leg was disjointed and placed separately, a ritual thought to ensure the vampire could not rise from the grave. According to Ovcharov, such rituals were often performed in cases of unusual deaths, such as suicide or individuals believed to have the ability to return from the dead. This isn't the first vampire-related find in the Bulgaria-Greece border region. Bojidar Dimitrov, director of the National History Museum in Sofia, reported that at least 100 vampire skeletons have been discovered in the area. One particularly notable case occurred in 2012, when twin vampire skeletons were unearthed in Sozopol, a city near Perperikon. One skeleton belonged to a man whose feet were bound and a metal rod driven through his chest. The second was believed to be a 13th-century pirate named Krivich, who was pinned through the chest with a sharp stone rather than iron, adding another layer of mystery to the discovery. In some graves, archaeologists also found animals such as cats or chickens buried alongside the deceased. These animals were believed to guard against the return of vampires, protecting the living from the spirits of the dead. These findings not only provide insight into the worldview and beliefs of ancient societies, but also raise intriguing questions about how past cultures dealt with death and spiritual threats. Were vampires truly a founded belief, or simply a haunting part of human mythology? That question, it seems, remains difficult to answer. The tomb of the smoke-mummified bodies. In January 2015, a remarkable archaeological discovery shocked the research community when scientists unearthed a tomb filled with smoke-mummified remains of ancient Filipinos. The tomb lies deep within the dark caves of Mount Timbak in Benguet Province, located over 200 miles north of Manila, Philippines. These mummies are not merely preserved corpses, but part of a unique mortuary ritual practiced by the Ibaloy, an ancient ethnic group in the region. Mount Timbak is one of the few places where the ancient tradition of smoke mummification still survives in physical form, a custom dating back over 1,000 years. The Ibaloy had an unusual funerary practice. They smoked the corpses for several months, transforming them into what are now known as fire mummies. Once the body was properly smoked, it would be buried in tombs carved deep into the mountains, forming ancient cemeteries hidden within the caves. The preservation is so exceptional that the mummies have survived for thousands of years without decomposing. This explains why some mummies in the Timbak cave system remain intact to this day, with visible tattoos still present on their arms and legs. The exploration of these mummies has drawn attention from many, including Edgar Allan Zeta Yep, a young researcher who climbed Mount Timbak to witness the mummies firsthand. He shared, "These mummies are so well preserved you can even see the tattoos on their arms and legs." The smoke mummification ritual came to an end around 400 years ago with the arrival of Spanish colonizers. However, the burial caves remained untouched until the 19th century, when they were finally discovered. Today, some of the tombs are open to the public, allowing people to witness this fascinating cultural legacy. The most terrifying imperial tomb in China. In 1955, an archaeological team led by Guo Moruo began excavating the Dingling tomb, a daring challenge for a relatively inexperienced group. Officially known as the Ming Dingling, this tomb, over 300 years old, was the resting place of Emperor Wanli Zhu Yijun of the Ming Dynasty. Its construction took 6 years and cost nearly 8 million taels of silver. While not as grand as other imperial tombs, Dingling was meticulously built, posing significant obstacles during excavation. The team spent over 1.5 years locating the entrance to the underground palace, sealed by a diamond-shaped wall 28.9 feet high and 5.2 feet thick. As the excavation reached critical stages, local rumors spread that the underground palace housed a river. To reach the emperor's coffin, one supposedly needed to navigate a small boat across a chasm thousands of feet deep, filled with sharp swords, and only someone born on the same date as Emperor Wanli could access the coffin. Though these superstitious tales caused unease, Guo Moruo's team pressed on, dismissing the rumors. After months of relentless effort, the team reached the main chamber housing the emperor's coffin. Excavators reported 3 red coffins in the center. The middle one belonged to Emperor Wanli, flanked by those of his empresses. Upon opening the coffins, the team was thrilled to uncover a vast array of treasures, including the emperor's dragon crown, adorned with over 120 gemstones, 5,000 pearls, and crafted entirely with gold thread. However, the archaeological practices of the time were rudimentary, and due to limited resources, some artifacts suffered severe damage. The emperor's wooden coffin, deemed of little research value, was left by a mountain crevice. 7 villagers, hearing of this, retrieved the coffin and divided its precious, centuries-old wood among themselves, unaware of the misfortune it would bring. A local warned, "The emperor's belongings aren't for just anyone. Without the right fortune, they could bring death." Soon, strange events unfolded. An elderly couple who had a coffin made from the emperor's wood died within weeks. A farmer who placed a piece of the wood on his altar lost all 4 of his children to unexplained deaths. Others who took the wood faced continuous misfortune. Even the archaeologists were not spared. Guo Moruo's wife, Yu Li-kun, hanged herself in their old Beijing home, and their 2 sons died by suicide. Zheng Zhenduo, the excavation overseer, perished in a plane crash. Wu Han, who advocated for the tomb's excavation, took his own life in prison. Liu Din, the photographer who opened the emperor's coffin, also died by suicide. It seemed that when the underground palace was opened, a curse from Emperor Wanli's tomb was unleashed. Despite the discovery of countless treasures, Dingling left a legacy of fear and trauma in Chinese archaeology. Since then, an unwritten rule has prohibited the proactive excavation of imperial tombs in China. The 148 ancient tombs beneath a zoo. In 1956, during the construction of a zoo in Guangdong Province, China, an unexpected discovery revolutionized archaeology. Over decades, archaeologists uncovered approximately 500 ancient tombs in the area. In early 2024, the Guangzhou Institute of Cultural Heritage and Archaeology resumed excavations, identifying 148 tombs from the Han, Tang, Jin, Southern Song, and Ming dynasties. Alongside these tombs, nearly 200 artifacts were unearthed, ranging from intricately crafted jade to complexly designed pottery, offering valuable insights into ancient burial customs. Spanning 2,100 years of Chinese history, these tombs and artifacts provide researchers a rare opportunity to study the evolution of burial practices. From April to July 2024, the Guangzhou Institute excavated nearly 150 tombs across 13,993 square feet within the zoo. The oldest tomb dates to the Han Dynasty, 206 BCE to 20 CE. 8 tombs are from the Jin Dynasty, 265 to 589 CE, 15 from the Tang Dynasty, 618 to 907 CE, 121 from the Ming and Qing dynasties, and 48 others. 2 tombs particularly captivated experts, one from the Eastern Jin Dynasty, over 1,700 years old, nearly 32.8 feet long and almost perfectly preserved despite a small hole made by tomb robbers, and a smaller Southern Dynasty's tomb, also well preserved despite looting attempts. The Eastern Jin tomb is considered the largest and best preserved of its era found in Guangzhou. These discoveries are pivotal for studying burial customs and funeral practices in Guangzhou. They also shed light on construction techniques from the Jin and Southern dynasties. The Guangzhou Institute has developed tourism programs, allowing visitors to explore these dynasties' histories. Ongoing research aims to deepen understanding of ancient Chinese burial traditions and societal changes, offering the public a clearer view of how burial practices evolved across dynasties. Mass grave of 380 skeletons from the 1st century. Recently, archaeologists discovered a mass grave containing 380 skeletons in Denmark. Analysis reveals these remains date to the 1st century CE, a time when the Roman Empire was expanding northward, frequently clashing with ancient Germanic tribes. Led by Dr. Mette Løvskjold from Aarhus University, researchers found nearly 380 human skeletons in the wetlands of Enge in the Illerup River Valley. Most skeletons belonged to adult males aged 40 to 60, though some were children as young as 13 or 14. All showed signs of bodily trauma before death, with additional evidence of gnawing by animals like foxes, dogs, and wolves. Dr. Løvskjold notes that many skeletons bore marks suggesting these individuals were not all trained soldiers or experienced in combat. They were likely hastily assembled to confront an enemy. Alongside the 380 skeletons, archaeologists uncovered weapons such as swords, iron knives, axes, and shield fragments, as well as pottery and bones of dogs, pigs, and cattle. These findings indicate that the conflicts between the Roman Empire and Germanic tribes significantly impacted society, involving large-scale battles with participants of various ages. 200,000-year-old tombs, not created by our species. In June 2024, an excavation in South Africa stunned the scientific community with the discovery of ancient tombs containing remains of a peculiar prehistoric human species. These remains belong not to Homo sapiens, our species, but to Homo naledi, an ancient human lineage with a striking resemblance to us, yet distinct traits. Living in trees with brains far smaller than ours, their discovery marks a turning point in understanding human evolution. The remains were found 98.4 feet underground in the Cradle of Humankind cave system near Johannesburg, South Africa, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. These tombs are remarkable not only for their existence, but also for revealing burial practices far earlier than previously imagined. Led by Dr. Lee Berger from the University of the Witwatersrand, researchers suggest these burials occurred around 200,000 years ago, at least 100,000 years earlier than evidence of Homo sapiens burials. Homo naledi had brains the size of an orange and stood about 4.9 feet tall, with ape-like bodies and limbs ill-suited for complex tasks like digging graves. Yet their burial practices indicate cognitive and social behaviors far more advanced than previously attributed to them. Burial, once thought unique to modern humans, was evidently practiced by Homo naledi in this early evolutionary period. This discovery raises profound questions about human evolution, suggesting it was not a linear path, but a complex web, with species like Homo naledi achieving significant social and cognitive advancements before extinction. It reshapes our view of ancient humans, challenging the notion that behaviors like burial were exclusive to Homo sapiens. To further explore human evolution and burial practices, scientists continue excavating and studying these sites at the Rising Star Cave System, renowned for discoveries of other human species. More surprises about our evolutionary past await. Stay tuned! Mass grave of 227 sacrificed children. Brutally killed in a large-scale sacrificial ritual 1,400 years ago, the remains of 227 children aged 4 to 14 were recently uncovered in a mass grave at Pampa La Cruz, Peru. This is considered one of the largest recorded child sacrifice rituals in human history. Archaeologists and historians believe these children were forced to participate in a Chimu Empire ceremony to avert natural disasters linked to the El Niño phenomenon, which religious leaders believed could bring salvation to their community. The Chimu Empire, predating the Inca civilization, developed a society with complex beliefs and enigmatic religious rituals. Authorities and religious leaders organized massive sacrifices to appease deities, particularly during times of perceived natural unrest, such as crop failures and disasters. This is not the first such discovery at Pampa La Cruz, where mass child killings were previously documented. In June 2018, archaeologists found the remains of 56 children and 140 llamas, also part of similar sacrificial rituals. However, this discovery surpasses previous findings with a staggering 227 children sacrificed simultaneously. Most remains are remarkably intact, some retaining skin, hair, and even glittering silver earrings, intensifying the horror and tragedy of the massacre. This mass grave not only serves as evidence of one of history's most horrific sacrificial rituals, but also reminds us of the brutality ancient civilizations could inflict in the name of religion and supernatural protection. Though 1400 years have passed, these innocent children remain witnesses to a dark era where the deaths of countless youths were seen as a means to placate nature's wrath. What are your thoughts on these images? Personally, I find it terrifying and heartbreaking for those innocent children. Mass grave of 500 women and children. A haunting archaeological discovery was made at Dulag 191, one of Nazi Germany's notorious concentration camps, located in southwestern Russia near the Ukraine border. Archaeologists uncovered a mass grave containing the remains of over 500 women and children, victims of one of the bloodiest chapters of World War II. Dulag 191 was a camp built to detain ethnic groups deemed enemies by the Nazis, witnessing the deaths of approximately 8,500 people, many of whom were women and children unable to escape the war's brutality. According to excavation leader Mikhail Segadin, the unearthed bones primarily belonged to young individuals, bearing gunshot wounds and fractures. Tragically, no valuable items were found except a damaged cigarette case, indicating these were innocent people, abandoned and forgotten. The remains were discovered just beneath the surface in mass burial pits, where victims were hastily and disrespectfully interred. Local historian Viktor Strelkin shared that these pits lie beneath the feet of the living, occasionally exposing bones or thinly covered by soil. Yet over time, the remains resurface, testifying to unforgettable cruelty. This discovery is not only a significant archaeological find, but also a stark warning about the pain of war and the atrocities humans can inflict on one another. The remains stand as vivid proof of a bloody past, reminding us of the value of peace and the necessity of protecting human rights to prevent such crimes from recurring in history. The ancient Chinese tomb, containing 7 blood-red corpses. In 2016, an archaeological excavation at the Jinsha site in Qingyang District, Chengdu, Sichuan Province, China, led to a remarkable discovery that stunned the archaeological community. 7 ancient tombs containing corpses preserved in a blood-red hue. Jinsha is one of China's most significant archaeological sites of the 21st century and served as a cultural cradle along the upper reaches of the Yangtze River from the 12th to the 7th century BCE. According to experts, these 7 tombs date back to the Warring States period and vary in shape and size. Inside, in addition to the coffins containing the blood-red corpses, archaeologists found numerous burial items such as swords, spears, and bronze artifacts. The most striking feature was the blood-red color of the corpses, prompting a series of tests and analyses to understand this unusual preservation. The results revealed that the red coloration was due to cinnabar, a mineral used for thousands of years. Interestingly, not only the corpses, but also the surrounding soil exhibited the same red hue, suggesting a deliberate application. This discovery offers new insights into ancient burial customs and spiritual beliefs. Experts believe that the use of cinnabar was not merely decorative, but held deep spiritual significance, possibly symbolizing life and resurrection in the afterlife. These findings at Jinsha not only enhance our understanding of ancient burial practices, but also provide a glimpse into the beliefs and customs of our ancestors. The vibrant red corpses, after more than 2,500 years underground, now tell vivid stories of a glorious era and profound human beliefs. The 1,500-year-old tomb containing unseen secrets. While preparing the ground for a poultry farm in Germany, an exceptionally rare archaeological discovery astonished researchers. During the excavation, archaeologists uncovered a tomb approximately 1,500 years old, dating back to the time of the Great Migration of the Germanic tribes, a period marked by upheaval as tribes invaded and redivided lands following the fall of the Roman Empire. At the center of the tomb, archaeologists found a large bronze cauldron believed to have held the ashes of the deceased, possibly a high-ranking individual of that era. Archaeologist Suzanne Friedrich from the Landesmuseum Halle explained, "We are still searching for the remains of this person." This indicates the significance and intrigue of the excavation, as many aspects remain unresolved. Surrounding the cauldron, experts discovered the remains of 6 women, leading to the hypothesis that they might have been concubines or wives of the deceased, possibly buried to accompany him in the afterlife. However, whether these women were sacrificed or voluntarily participated in this ritual remains an open question. Additionally, remains of 11 animals, including cattle, dogs, and horses, were found. These findings suggest that the individual interred in the tomb was of high status. Beyond the main tomb, approximately 60 other graves were discovered in the area. Researchers believe this could be an ancient cemetery dating from around 480 to 530 CE, a period following the collapse of the Roman Empire and during the migration and settlement of Germanic tribes such as the Huns. Notably, among the artifacts uncovered were a glass bowl, gilded silver jewelry associated with clothing, a sword, an iron shield, a gold coin bearing the image of Emperor Zeno, and other items. Archaeologists believe these glass artifacts, intricately decorated, were products of Gallo-Roman artisans along the Rhine River, as only they possessed the technique to craft such items. Ancient treasures and mysteries in a 2,000-year-old tomb. 10 years ago, in April 2011, a construction company working on the installation of a drainage system in the Petra area of Hanoi, Vietnam, accidentally uncovered two nearly 2,000-year-old tombs and a well about 656 feet away. The discovery of these ancient tombs and the well captured the attention of the people of Vietnam because of their historical significance, while archaeologists at the time were thrilled by the precious artifacts that allowed them to delve deeper into the lives of our ancestors. At that time, while excavating to install an underground drainage system at a depth of about 6.5 feet, the excavator's bucket scraped across a row of bricks, revealing the first tomb. Inside, there was a layer of mud about 13.8 inches thick, covering the tomb's floor. Upon noticing this, the workers stopped and called the Hanoi Cultural Heritage Management Board. As the excavator moved about 4.9 feet from the original location to continue digging, it unexpectedly scraped the roof of a second tomb, breaking part of it and exposing a layer of mud that nearly filled 1/3 of the tomb's interior. Archaeologists immediately arrived on site to investigate. The initial excavation revealed two tombs, a larger one and a smaller one, both shallow. Dr. Nguyen Lan Quang, vice president of the Vietnam Archaeological Association at the time, noted that one of the distinguishing features of these tombs was the row of bricks forming an arch along the roof of each tomb. Viewed from above, the two tombs resembled two fish lying parallel to each other in a northwest-southeast direction, each with a fish-like fin running along the back. He also remarked that this type of brickwork had never been seen before in other tombs. In the larger tomb, between the edges of the bricks, there were decorative patterns of coins and lattice designs. The smaller tomb had primarily fishbone patterns, with some lattice designs. However, one unsolved mystery was the discovery of 40 ancient Chinese characters in the larger tomb. On the left was the character for earth, and on the right, the character for wood. Dr. Nguyen Lan Quang sought advice from experts in classical Chinese rather than Han Nom, but has yet to receive an explanation for these characters. During the excavation, experts and archaeologists discovered 28 artifacts in the larger tomb, including 16 bowls, plates, and vases made of both glazed and unglazed ceramic, 9 iron nails that had rusted, a greenish-blue glass bead, a flat rectangular stone slab, and a very thin broken bronze bowl. Notably, they also found a layer of burnt rice and grains at the tomb's bottom. When the experts continued to sift through the mud, they discovered 2 small bowls. As they removed the upper layer of dirt, they uncovered more burnt rice and grains. Interestingly, some of the rice grains retained their husks and part of the stalks. These grains were roughly oval to round in shape, with a length-to-width ratio of 1.7 to 2.5 millimeters. When excavating the smaller tomb, experts found several rare items. This tomb contained only 5 ceramic objects, with a particularly beautiful chicken-shaped ceramic vessel being the highlight, complete with details such as the comb, eyes, and tail of the chicken. This was probably the most valuable artifact discovered in this excavation. Neither tomb showed evidence of wooden coffins or human remains. Dr. Nguyen Lan Quang explained that this is likely due to the complete decay of such materials, a common occurrence in tombs from the Northern Domination period in Vietnam. He further suggested that based on the size of the tomb bricks and the characteristics of the ceramics, both tombs likely date from the period of the 6 dynasties between the 4th and 6th centuries. The larger tomb is slightly older than the smaller one. Regarding the ancient well discovered nearly 656 feet away, the excavator had removed several rows of bricks from the well's rim, though the well's body remained largely intact. The bricks inside the well date from different periods, ranging from the 6th to the 15th century, indicating the long-term occupation of the area, which is located near the Red River and was once the outskirts of the ancient city of Dai La. The late Professor Nguyen Vinh Phuc, a historian and Hanoi scholar, shared with the press after the discovery that the area where the tombs and well were found was once a town or administrative center of ancient Jiao Chou. This area had long been known for the discovery of many Han tombs. He commented to the press 10 years ago, "Finding 2 ancient tombs and an ancient well in the Saputra urban area is not surprising, as where there were people living, there must have been people dying. Where there are people, there must also be water for daily use. If we continue to excavate in this area, we may discover even more ancient tombs." However, what is special about this excavation is the discovery of some artifacts that have never been seen before in Hanoi, such as bronze vessels, iron nails, and rice. All of this points to a glorious past of the people who lived during that time. The 13 mysterious and strange archaeological discoveries recently found that will make you cry. The mummy of a 5-year-old bride in China. In the long history of China, the most common funeral practice was burial. The ancients often placed specific items in graves so the deceased could enjoy them in the afterlife. Especially for those of higher social status, the items buried with them could clearly reflect their position in society. In 2003, when a construction team in Shandong Province, China, was renovating the residence of the famous calligrapher Wang Xizhi from the Eastern Jin dynasty, they discovered an ancient tomb. Inside the tomb, there were 2 very small coffins, one belonging to a 1-year-old child and the other to a 2-year-old. In another part of the tomb, archaeologists also found the remains of a 5-year-old bride. The discovery of the remains of 3 children, so young, shocked experts and led them to ask, why were they so young and found in an ancient tomb? Why had a 5-year-old girl been made a bride? After consulting related information, experts finally uncovered the mystery of this ancient tomb, revealing a tragic period in history. It turned out that the owner of the tomb was Sima Yue, the founding emperor of the Eastern Jin dynasty. The tomb was built for his beloved son, Sima Huan, and his grandson, Sima An Guo. According to the Book of Jin, one of the 24 historical books of China, compiled by Fang Xuanling and Li Yun in 648, although Sima Yue deeply loved his son Sima Huan had been suffering from chronic illness since birth. Wanting his son to become healthy quickly, Sima Yue decided to confer the title of king to Sima Huan. However, on the day of the royal conferment, Sima Huan's condition worsened and he passed away. Soon after, Sima Yue's grandson, Sima An Guo, also died young. For Sima Yue, the death of his son was a devastating blow. As a result, he conducted a Ming Hun, a marriage ceremony for the dead, and buried a young bride alive with his son so that he could live happily in the afterlife. This 5-year-old bride, whose remains were later discovered by modern archaeologists, was the one who had been buried with Sima Huan. In ancient society, when a husband died, the wife would often be buried with him. But since Sima Huan died so young, the emperor chose a 5-year-old girl to be buried with his son. Sima Huan's tomb, while an invaluable archaeological discovery, serves as a painful reminder of a society where human life sometimes had no value, being used as mere tools to perform symbolic rituals and to assert power. This story not only forces us to reflect on the harsh realities of the past, but also serves as a reminder of the progress humanity has made in how we treat individuals and human rights. The tragedy of the feudal society is laid bare. A young girl, at the command of the emperor, was made an item of burial and left forever in that tomb. What do you think about this? It's truly tragic and also deeply troubling, right? A 400-year-old love letter on a captivating mummy. In the heart of the peaceful city of Andong in South Korea, where tree-lined streets seem to carry the imprint of time, an archaeological discovery left the world deeply moved. It wasn't a treasure of gold or silver, nor an ancient palace relic. It was a mummy of a man named Yung Tai, accompanied by a love letter over 400 years old placed on his chest. The letter, with trembling words soaked in tears, left even the hardest of archaeologists speechless. The writer of the letter was Tai's wife, a woman who was pregnant and faced the agony of losing her husband at the prime of her life. The letter was not just a farewell, but also a desperate cry reaching through time and space. She wrote, "I cannot live without you. I want to go with you. Take me anywhere, to where you are." The words cut deep, making the reader feel the heartbreak, helplessness, and profound love that nothing could erase. When the mummy of Tai was discovered, he was about 5 feet 7 inches tall, a height that was above average for Korean men of that time. His skin, hair, and especially his mustache were remarkably well preserved, radiating a handsome appearance and strong presence. Saekwon Yim, the former director of the Andong National University Museum, even remarked that he could sense a special charm emanating from this man, as if he were still alive, still smiling somewhere between two worlds. However, the detail that caused millions of hearts to ache wasn't just the letter or Tai's handsome face, but the pair of shoes placed by his head, shoes woven from the very hair of his late wife. In ancient Korean literature, hair-woven shoes symbolize eternal love, a wish for the loved one to recover from illness, or a bond so deep that even souls cannot be separated. This woman didn't just write a letter. She left a part of herself literally next to her deceased husband, as if to say, "I am here. I have always been with you." To this day, the exact cause of Tai's death and his age at the time of passing remain unknown. Archaeologists continue to study his mummy along with 12 other mummies found in the same tomb. This only adds to the mystery, like an unfinished old film or a love song that stopped midway. The identity of the woman who wrote the letter is also still unclear, but through her trembling words, one can vividly picture a young wife full of hope, later submerged in immeasurable pain. They say history is a collection of dry numbers and dusty pages, but that moment in the ancient tomb deep underground, history became more alive than ever. It was no longer a tale of a distant past. It was the story of a person, a love, and a loss so profound that no time could ever diminish it. And when you look at the hair-woven shoes, at the mummy of Tai, you may see not just an archaeological artifact, but proof that true love can indeed live forever through time. The 354 layers of clothing of the female master in the ancient tomb of China. The story begins one afternoon in October 1974, when a high school teacher, sweating profusely, ran to the provincial museum to report that the school had just dug up an ancient tomb under a playground that was being renovated. This news immediately prompted the archaeologists to spring into action. Initially, they were disappointed to find that part of the tomb had been looted, leaving behind only a bronze mirror and a small white porcelain lamp. However, when they moved to the right-side tomb chamber, which remained intact and undisturbed, everything took a sudden turn. A stone tablet revealed that this was the final resting place of Huang Sheng, the first wife of Zhao Yujun, the 11th generation grandson of Song Taizu Zhao Kuangyin. Huang Sheng wasn't just a noble woman, she was also the mother of a renowned scholar of the southern Song Dynasty. Excited by this discovery, the team of archaeologists hoped to find invaluable artifacts from one of China's golden eras. But what stunned them wasn't the treasure trove, it was the extraordinary level of attention to fashion and clothing displayed by the deceased woman. When they opened the coffin, the dazzling gold jewelry adorning her body left the entire team breathless. But that wasn't even the highlight. As the examination process began, the experts found themselves working twice, or even 3 times, as hard as usual, just to remove each layer of clothing the noblewoman had worn. There were a total of 354 layers of clothing. No exaggeration. The layers included everything from undergarments, nightwear, casual clothes, formal attire, to seasonal outfits for spring, summer, fall, and winter. What was even more astonishing was that all the clothing was made from various rare materials such as silk, damask, chiffon, brocade, satin, and many others, with different styles. Sleeveless tunics, aprons, skirts, pants, and even specialized items like waistbands, considered the ancestors of modern-day sanitary pads. What was supposed to be a half-day examination turned into a 2-day affair due to the meticulous process of removing these ancient clothes. However, the effort was not in vain. Each layer of fabric was like a slice of history, allowing the researchers to gain a detailed understanding of the exquisite textile craftsmanship of the Southern Song Dynasty, a skill that rivaled the famous artifacts from the Han Dynasty. The thinnest piece of clothing the female master wore weighed only 0.6 ounces, light as a feather, showing how advanced the techniques for handling silk and weaving fabrics had become, reaching the level of artistry. What began as an ordinary excavation turned into a treasure trove of invaluable information about the lives, aesthetics, and traditional clothing of the noblewomen of the Song Dynasty. And even though the archaeologists had to exclaim, "This is exhausting," it was clear that this was a journey through time worth every moment, where every thread of fabric carried the soul of a lost civilization. The mysterious mummy in the 6,000-year-old tomb. Hidden beneath the blazing golden sands of Egypt's desert, the Saqqara archaeological site has once again amazed the world. The latest discoveries here are not just fragments of history, but doors leading to a mysterious civilization where stories thousands of years old are waiting to be told. Over the course of 6 months of excavation, archaeologists uncovered 7 ancient tombs, buried deep beneath the mountainside south of Cairo. Among these tombs were dozens of mummified cats, rare scarab beetles, strange statues, and limestone coffins that had remained intact for 6,000 years. Did you know that in ancient Egyptian beliefs, cats were revered almost as divine creatures? They were not only companions but also sacred protectors, mummified and offered to the gods. In 3 tombs dedicated solely to mummified cats, researchers found over 100 wooden, gold-plated cat statues and a pure copper statue of the cat goddess Bastet. In addition to these cat statues, there were also statues of lions, hawks, and bulls, sacred symbols representing power and strength in ancient Egyptian culture. But that wasn't the most surprising part. Inside a recently discovered rectangular limestone coffin, they found the mummified remains of a scarab beetle. Yes, this seemingly insignificant insect had a very important role in ancient Egyptian spirituality. To them, the scarab represented rebirth and the transformation of the soul after death. This was the first time archaeologists had encountered such a well-preserved mummified scarab beetle, and the coffin was even sealed with drawings of the beetle, an extremely rare and unique artifact. But the surprises didn't stop there. One of the remaining 4 tombs was identified as that of Khufu Imhotep, who held the position of overseeing the royal palaces. This tomb was built during the 5th dynasty, around 2500 to 2350 BC, shortly after the Great Pyramid of Giza was completed. Mr. Mostafa Waziri, the Secretary General of the Egyptian Supreme Council of Antiquities, stated that the tomb is likely still intact, and the research team plans to continue excavation in the coming weeks. This could lead to even more groundbreaking discoveries. In addition to the mummies and statues, the archaeologists also discovered a variety of unique items, such as wooden coffins shaped like cobras and crocodiles, intricate necklaces, ancient writing tools, canopic jars for preserving the internal organs of the mummies, and various amulets with complex designs. These all serve as pieces of a magical puzzle, bringing to life a civilization that ruled for over 2 millennia. If these discoveries are not just a priceless gift to the field of archaeology, but also a glimmer of hope for Egypt's tourism industry, which has struggled in recent years due to political instability, then it certainly isn't an exaggeration. With international visitor numbers increasing by 54% last year, local authorities are optimistic that Saqqara will become a major attraction, drawing tourists back to explore the memories of the ancient pharaohs. Saqqara, not just a cemetery, but a treasure trove of mysteries that have yet to reveal all their secrets. And with every excavation, time seems to reverse, taking us back to a distant past, where untold stories are still waiting to be awakened. If you're someone who loves exploration and is drawn to the mysteries of the past, I believe a journey to this site would be the perfect adventure for you. The ancient tomb that rewrites history on the Danube River. In the Geisingen-Gutmadingen district of Tuttlingen, located in the southwestern part of Germany, an archaeological discovery has recently rocked the fields of history and archaeology. Archaeologists unearthed a tomb dating back to the 3rd millennium BCE, from the Neolithic period, containing distinctive pottery items from the corded ware culture. This is not just a simple discovery, It opens a time portal that allows us to look back into the distant past and transforms our understanding of the development of human history. But the story doesn't end there. As the excavation continued in the area, experts uncovered even more graves, dating from the 6th century CE, the medieval period, with approximately 140 tombs. Each grave contained artifacts such as swords, spears, shields, bone combs, drinking cups, and earrings, all vivid proof of a time marked by turmoil and change. Mayor Martin Numberger remarked, "Our Gutmedingen is probably much older than we had imagined." This discovery not only changes our perspective on local history, but also forces historians to revise earlier records, which stated that people only began living in this region in 1273. The remarkable aspect of this find is the presence of artifacts from the corded ware culture, an ancient civilization known for its geometric decorative pottery made by pressing cord patterns into clay and allowing it to dry. This culture was also distinguished by advanced agricultural practices, particularly cattle and sheep husbandry and barley cultivation. These discoveries help scientists better understand the development and expansion of the corded ware civilization into other areas. And this isn't just a story about ancient artifacts, it's a testament to the interaction between cultures, the blending of ancient communities, and the way they helped form the cultural heritage of modern Europe. Moreover, the medieval graves uncovered paint a vivid picture of a significant transitional period in European history. During this time, the Germanic Lord Odoacer deposed the Roman Emperor Romulus Augustus, marking the end of the Roman Empire and the beginning of the migration period. This was a time when tribes moved across Europe, conquering new lands, engaging in battles, and gradually shaping the map and social structure of modern Europe. All of these discoveries in Glastonbury, including the rich collection of artifacts, represent a priceless archaeological treasure, not just for Germany, but for all of Europe and the world. They provide a fresh perspective on a period of history that we thought we knew well, but in reality, still hides stories and secrets waiting to be uncovered. And these discoveries, whether large or small, serve as a reminder that history still has much to tell, and every step forward in exploring the past is an invaluable step in understanding ourselves. The 400-year-old ghost ship in the Baltic Sea still amazes with its perfect preservation. In the icy waters of the Baltic Sea, where sunlight barely penetrates the deep waters, a mystery that has baffled the world for decades has finally been solved. In the middle of 2011, a group of treasure hunters from Finland used radar to scan the ocean floor and unexpectedly discovered a strange object 278 feet beneath the surface. Its unusual shape, smooth surface, and symmetry led many to believe it was a UFO, a flying object that had crashed into the sea. Conspiracy theories erupted, strange images spread across the internet, and the mystery quickly became a hot topic across Europe. However, after nearly a decade submerged in the cold waters, in 2020, an international research team consisting of veteran divers, archaeologists, and maritime historians, led by Professor Nicholas Eriksson from Stockholm University, was determined to uncover the truth. Hours-long dives and continuous research finally revealed the secret. The UFO at the bottom of the Baltic Sea was actually the remains of a three-masted ship called the Swan, built in 1636 during the Dutch Golden Age of maritime exploration. What astonished archaeologists was the condition of the ship. After 400 years at the bottom of the sea, the Swan remained almost completely intact, as if it had just been sunk yesterday. The Dutch coat of arms was still clearly visible on the hull, and the inscriptions revealing the identity of the crew had not been erased by time. It was as though the ship had been preserved in a time capsule, taking us back to an era when the Netherlands ruled the oceans. But the surprises didn't end there. As we moved our gaze away from the Baltic Sea, another secret was revealed across the continent, this time in Egypt. A ghost ship from ancient Egypt was discovered beneath the legendary city of Thonis, or Herakleion, as it was known to the Greeks. Once a bustling trade center on the Nile, the city now lies in ruins beneath layers of mud and stone in the Abu Qir Bay. The 82-foot ship was found amid the ruins of the Temple of Amun. Buried after an earthquake and tsunami caused the city to disappear in the 2nd century BCE. Miraculously, despite being buried beneath over 16 feet of clay, the ship's structure remained perfectly intact thanks to the tomb of hard stone and earth surrounding it. Built using a technique known as mortise and tenon, an ancient method that ensured a perfect bond between wooden planks, the ship was likely a commercial vessel that the Greeks used to transport goods along the Nile. Along with the ship, a wealth of valuable artifacts was discovered. Intricately decorated pottery, gold amulets shaped like the god Bes, the protector of women and children in Egyptian culture. Together, these items paint a vibrant picture of cultural, commercial, and religious exchange between two great civilizations in human history. Two ships, one in the cold waters of northern Europe and one beneath the sands of Egypt, are like two stories from different worlds but share a common theme. They are silent witnesses to time, living legacies of a glorious and complex past. And as we continue to explore, we realize that the depths of the sea hold more than just ancient shipwrecks. They conceal untold histories that have yet to be shared. A 2,000-year-old fast food restaurant. Amid the ashes of a city buried for over 2 millennia, a special story has recently been told, not through books or legends, but through a fast food restaurant. Yes, you heard that right. In the ancient city of Pompeii, Italy, once destroyed entirely by the catastrophic eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 CE, archaeologists have uncovered a fast food restaurant that dates back 2,000 years. The astonishing part is that it remains almost perfectly preserved, lying dormant beneath a thick layer of ash as if waiting for the day it could reopen. That moment finally arrived. On August 12th of last year, this ancient fast food restaurant officially reappeared to the public, opening a time portal that transported visitors back to the busy, vibrant life of Pompeii in ancient times. Located in the Regio 5 archaeological zone, within the ruins of the ancient Roman Empire, this establishment is considered an ancient version of today's roadside eateries. The Romans called it a thermopolium, a place where people, especially the working class, could stop for a quick, inexpensive meal that was still filling. What amazed archaeologists was how well preserved the counter area and the surrounding space were. Remnants found in clay pots, containers, and on the counter surfaces still bear traces of pork, fish, snails, and even beef, foods that were commonly found on the menu at the time. From this, modern people can begin to imagine the tastes, eating habits, and daily rhythms of the Romans thousands of years ago. The volcanic disaster in 79 CE claimed the lives of between 2,000 and 15,000 people and buried the entire city of Pompeii under a thick layer of ash. But it was this very ash that turned out to be a miraculous natural preservative, keeping everything from everyday objects to architectural structures and even human footprints intact. As a result, Pompeii is not just a historical site, it is also a time machine that allows us to vividly and realistically return to the ancient Roman period. Since the 16th century, when the Pompeii site was first excavated, only about 2/3 of the archaeological area has been uncovered. This means that hundreds, possibly thousands of other stories remain hidden beneath the earth, waiting to be awakened. And if a simple fast food restaurant can evoke such emotion, how far will the remaining mysteries take us in the grand flow of history? This is a difficult question to answer, but it certainly reminds us of the countless secrets from the past that remain waiting to be discovered. The 2,500-year-old princess mummy. In the frozen, desolate land of Siberia, where cold winds slice through the mountains, an ancient mystery has been awakened after a 2,500-year-long slumber. It is the mummy of a princess, a woman known as the eternal muse of the Altai steppe. Discovered in 1993 on the Ukok Plateau, located at an elevation of over 8,200 feet, the Pazyryk princess mummy quickly became one of the most impressive archaeological discoveries in the world. Not only was she preserved almost perfectly, but the strange and haunting details surrounding her, which captivated both scientists and the public alike, left everyone in awe. The young princess, who died at around 25 years old, was buried ceremoniously inside a wooden tomb, accompanied by 6 horses and many valuable treasures. However, what amazed the world most were the perfectly preserved tattoos on her skin, despite the passage of time and the thick layers of ice. These intricate patterns are described as highly artistic, and remarkably, they resemble modern tattoo styles. This has led archaeologists to wonder, how could ancient people have had such advanced techniques and aesthetics? According to scientists, the Pazyryk princess might have been one of the first recorded cases of breast cancer. Traces of the disease were discovered through the analysis of remaining bone tissue. offering a humanizing and heartbreaking glimpse into the short yet mysterious life of this woman. However, the story doesn't end there. When the mummy was removed from her tomb and displayed in a museum in 2016, a wave of fierce opposition erupted from the local Altai community. They believed that exposing the body and the princess's demonic tattoos could unleash an evil spirit and bring disaster to the region. It sounds far-fetched, but strangely, shortly after the mummy was exhumed and moved, the area began to experience a series of unusual natural disasters. Earthquakes, flash floods, and hailstorms, things that had never occurred before. Local residents began to speculate that the princess's soul was angry for being disturbed from her 1,000-year sleep. Pleas were made to the authorities to return her to her final resting place where she truly belonged. Whether it is superstition or mere coincidence, the story of the Ice Princess is not only a vivid chapter in history, but also a haunting reminder of the fragile boundary between science and the spiritual world, between discovery and respect for the past. The Vanishing Village in the Dubai Desert. Dubai, a name that evokes grandeur, wealth, and sky-high, extravagant buildings. It is known for its towering skyscrapers, expensive supercars, and one of the world's most luxurious lifestyles. However, hidden deep behind the city lights, beyond the bustling roads and modern urban areas, lies a completely different world. A vast, desolate, and serene desert, where time seems to stand still. In this setting, there is a place that sends chills down the spine of both scientists and explorers alike. The town of Gigi, known as the Ghost Town in the Dubai Desert. Gigi is unlike anywhere you've ever known. By day, it appears to be an ordinary ancient village with a few modest buildings and faint remnants of life that once existed. But as night falls, something strange happens. The entire village disappears. Not a single roof, not a single trace, not a soul in sight. Everything seems to be swallowed up by darkness and dust. Even with modern equipment, its exact location cannot be pinpointed at night. This phenomenon has earned Gigi not only the title of Ghost Town, but also the name of the unsolved mystery of the Middle Eastern desert. Many scientists, scholars, and geologists have visited the site in hopes of explaining this peculiar phenomenon. Some believe it is the result of a powerful desert mirage, where the reflective light causes the town to vanish when temperatures drop at night. Others insist that the desert sands themselves are the culprits, claiming that the terrain and strong winds cause the sand to quickly cover the village during the night and reveal it again in the morning. However, none of these hypotheses are entirely convincing. All the measuring and observation equipment yields inconsistent results, making Gigi even more elusive, as if it exists only on the fragile boundary between reality and illusion. Historical records state that Gigi was once home to a small community of people hundreds of years ago. However, after a period of overexploitation and environmental destruction, the inhabitants were forced to migrate, leaving the town in ruin and gradually fading into obscurity. The sand, wind, and time seem to have completed the work, burying each house, each road, and every memory of a bygone era. It is also due to the sparse population and the ravages of nature that the strange phenomenon of the vanishing village every night began to appear, turning this place into one of the unsolved mysteries of the modern world. Today, Gigi has become a destination for adventurous tourists and explorers, though most only dare to visit during the day. No one is brave enough to stay after the sun sets, as rumors of the nighttime curse in the area have never been disproven. The ghost town in the Dubai Desert continues to challenge science, fueling imagination and sparking an endless curiosity about the things humans have yet to touch in this vast world. The 300-year-old pink stone coffin. More than 3,000 years ago, during the glorious reign of ancient Egypt under Pharaoh Ramses II, a powerful man passed away. However, his death didn't just leave a mark on history. It also left behind an invaluable treasure for future generations. An ancient tomb near Cairo, containing a marvelous pink granite coffin, was discovered by archaeologists in near-perfect condition, becoming a dream discovery. This is the story of Ta Mwiya, a high-ranking official and the head of the treasury under Ramses the Great. Ta Mwiya's coffin is not only a unique work of art, but also holds untold stories of power, honor, and immortality. Made of rare and exquisite pink granite, the coffin is intricately carved with mythological symbols, blending art and ancient belief in a perfect union. On the lid of the coffin, there is an image of the sky goddess Nut, with her wings spread to protect the deceased, surrounded by the four sons of the sun god Horus, encircling the coffin like guardians of Ptah Mwia's soul. But the most special part is that this coffin is not only a piece of fine craftsmanship or a symbol of wealth, it is also a testament to the life and career of a man who had a profound influence in ancient Egyptian society. Ptah Mwiya oversaw livestock, kept royal records, and most notably was the head of the treasury, a position comparable to today's Minister of Finance. The titles and hieroglyphic inscriptions on the coffin not only confirm his identity, but also affirm his critical role in governance. Recently, archaeologist Ola El Agizi from Cairo University discovered the tomb in Saqqara, a region famous for its ancient tombs and pyramids. The tomb was originally 75 feet long and buried underground, requiring archaeologists to move tons of sand to access it. When they reached the second underground level of the tomb, the beautiful coffin was revealed, almost perfectly intact, with only part of the lid broken, indicating that it had been disturbed by tomb robbers. Despite this, luck smiled on Ptah Mwiya. Thanks to the research and preservation work of archaeologists, the coffin has been preserved almost intact for more than 3 millennia. This discovery is not only a milestone in archaeological history, but also a key that opens the door to the past, helping us better understand one of the most powerful figures in ancient Egyptian society. The journey of archaeologists is far from over. They continue to study this coffin in hopes of uncovering more secrets about Ptah Mwiya, revealing deeper stories about the life of this great man, as well as the mysteries of ancient Egyptian civilization. And it's very possible that new discoveries could change the way we view history and what has been buried beneath the earth for thousands of years. The mystery inside the 2,000-year-old mummified girl. In the serene atmosphere of the Rosicrucian Egyptian Museum in San Jose, California, where thousands of years of memories from the legendary civilization along the Nile River are preserved, a tiny being lies sleeping in the heart of history. It is the mummified remains of a 5-year-old girl named Sherry by scientists, which means little one in ancient Egyptian. While her true name has been swept away by time through pieces of linen, round-shaped earrings, a necklace around her neck, and a protective amulet still resting on her chest, one can clearly sense that she was once deeply loved, and her passing was a great loss to her family. Sherry lived during the time when the Roman Empire ruled Egypt, over 2,000 years ago. Modern medical analysis suggests her death was likely caused by dysentery, a common but deadly disease for children during that period. Though she was just a small life in the vast flow of history, Sherry is opening up a timeless journey of exploration, thanks to the combination of archaeology and the most advanced technology of today. Since 2015, researchers at the museum have used CT scans to observe the inside of the mummy without damaging any of its preservation materials. But the true breakthrough occurred when they applied modern 3D scanning technology with the Artec EVA device, a handheld scanner that can capture highly detailed color images and surface textures that CT scanners could not. What's amazing is that, without even touching the mummy, every contour and surface detail was vividly recreated, as if real. Data from both scanning technologies, CT and 3D, were then integrated into a complete digital model using specialized software from Volume Graphics. The result was an incredibly detailed and realistic 3D model of the mummy, bringing viewers closer to Sherry than ever before, not only with their eyes but also with emotion and understanding. Thanks to this model, museum visitors are no longer limited by glass enclosures or dim lights. They can hold an iPad in their hands and move around the mummy to view the scanned layers displayed right on the screen. Each part of the body, every burial artifact, appears as if it's alive, as though you're truly touching a forgotten story that has lasted more than 2 millennia. But perhaps the most important aspect is not just the technology, but how these advancements are allowing us to listen to the voices from the past. Sherry is no longer an anonymous mummy lying in the dark. She has become a figure with her own story, the story of a child who passed away from illness but is preserved by future generations with the utmost respect. Christoph Reinhardt, the CEO of Volume Graphics, shared that this new scanning technology not only opens doors for archaeology but also marks an important step in biology, geology, and paleontology. Houses with many holes in the desert. In the endless desert, where dry and harsh land stretches as far as the eye can see, water is scarce and rain is even rarer, making it nearly impossible for life to thrive. Yet, on the slopes of the northern Sinai Desert in Egypt, many strange small brick houses can be found. Though they are in ruins, these houses are proof of human presence in this barren land. After investigating, researchers revealed that these brick houses were built with a very special purpose. These brick houses were constructed by the Bedouin people. Bedouins are Arab tribes that traditionally lead a nomadic lifestyle in the desert. This tribe has lived in the desert for thousands of years. The term Bedouin is the anglicized version of the Arabic word Bedu, meaning people of the desert or nomads. Bedouins typically make a living by raising camels, and they frequently move according to the seasons and along fixed routes. Their nomadic journeys can stretch up to 621 miles at a time. Due to the long travel times and distances, the Bedouins in Sinai developed a method of building small brick houses along the paths they traveled. Most of these houses are rectangular with vaulted roofs. The roofs and walls are punctuated by many small holes. These houses are typically about 6.5 feet high and appear quite old. While the number of these brick houses is not large, they are scattered across the desert. Upon closer inspection, it becomes clear that the houses differ in certain details. These differences indicate that various Bedouin groups constructed them. The question arises, what were these brick houses used for? According to the Bedouins, these houses were built with a very specific purpose, to act as landmarks. We can think of them as lighthouses in the desert. Their function is similar to that of lighthouses at sea. In the past, before GPS systems existed, ships navigating vast seas could easily lose their way, especially when storms struck. However, as long as a lighthouse was in sight, ships could find their way safely back to port, no matter how strong the storm. The desert is as vast as the sea, and without careful navigation, people could easily get lost. Therefore, the Bedouins built these desert lighthouses. As long as someone lit a fire inside one of them, anyone lost in the desert could follow the light to safety. Ancient mysteries found in the Turkmenistan desert. Over 4,000 years ago, the fortress town of Gonur Tepe may have been a rare civilization before it was buried for centuries beneath the sands of the Karakum Desert in Turkmenistan. After being rediscovered by Soviet archaeologists in the last century, Gonur Tepe, once home to thousands of people and a thriving center of development, has gradually revealed its mysteries with each new excavation season. The site is enormous, spanning over 74 acres, and can only be fully appreciated from the air. From above, the town's old buildings resemble a labyrinth in the desert, surrounded by high walls. Located just 31 miles from the ancient city of Merv and outside the city of Mary, the ruins of Gonur Tepe are a testament to the archaeological wealth of Turkmenistan, one of the most isolated countries in the world. Around 2000 BC, Gonur Tepe was the primary settlement of the Margush or Margiana region and contained one of the highest and least known ancient civilizations of the Bronze Age. The site was discovered by the famous Soviet archaeologist Viktor Saryanidi. At the age of 84, he still intends to continue working at the site for one more summer excavation season. Each archaeological season at Gonur Tepe brings important discoveries, showcasing the highly developed craftsmanship of Bronze Age artisans who once inhabited the town. Gonur Tepe was the center of a network of towns and settlements within the Morghab River Delta, which flows through Turkmenistan from its source in Afghanistan. The site is about a 3-hour drive from the city center of Mary, passing through now dormant collective farms. Mary, located 236 miles from the capital Ashgabat, is a typical provincial city in Turkmenistan with a population of 200,000 people. It was primarily built in Soviet style, featuring connected railroads and low-rise apartment buildings. About 19 miles from Mary lies another remarkable site in the region, the ruins of the city of Merv, which was once a major hub under the Persian Empire and reached its peak under Turkic leadership in the 12th century AD. Merv gradually declined after being plundered by the Mongol army in 1221, during a deadly conquest that resulted in tens of thousands of deaths. The ruins of Merv now stand in silence, much like those of Gonur Tepe. The largest treasure of the site is the tomb of Seljuk Sultan Sanjar, which has been carefully preserved. During his reign, Merv had a population of 200,000 and was one of the world's most populous settlements. According to architect and historian Ruslan Muradov of Turkmenistan, the tomb has a diameter of over 56 feet and itself represented a revolutionary design in architecture, dating back to the era when Turkmenistan was still a frontier of the Russian Empire. It was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1999. According to Viktor Tariq, a historian working at the Mary History Museum, archaeologists have only uncovered a small portion of the rich archaeological sites in the Mary region. Though Turkmenistan remains one of the most isolated countries in the world, it still attracts many tourists each year, mostly through specially organized tours. Mary has only 3 hotels, though the president of Turkmenistan recently ordered the construction of a 350-room hotel to boost tourism. Meanwhile, there remain unanswered questions about what to do with the gold and silver artifacts that have been uncovered in the area, which will require a careful process of restoration and conservation. An employee who requested anonymity from the Turkmenistan National Heritage Agency mentioned that a conservation project had once been planned in collaboration with the Louvre Museum in Paris, but it was unsuccessful. What archaeologists found inside. This 1,000-year-old wooden coffin made the world rewrite history. Welcome to a journey through some of the greatest mysteries in human history. Today, we will delve into one of the most controversial and enigmatic legends ever to emerge from England, a land often regarded as the cradle of myths, magic, and medieval wonder. Surely you've heard of King Arthur, the legendary ruler of Camelot and the noble leader of the Knights of the Round Table? But there's a detail that not everyone knows. A giant skeleton, believed to belong to King Arthur himself, was once unearthed in one of the most sacred places in England, Glastonbury Abbey. Located in Somerset, Glastonbury Abbey is not only one of the most ancient landmarks in the UK, but also a crossroads of history, religion, and mythology. Legend has it that Joseph of Arimathea, the guardian of the Holy Grail, established the first Christian church in England right on this very site. But the story doesn't end there. Glastonbury hides a secret that once shocked the world. A set of remains believed to be those of the legendary King Arthur was discovered there in the year 1190. According to accounts, under the orders of King Henry II, local monks excavated the ground within the abbey grounds, digging to a depth of around 7 feet. There, between 2 ancient pyramidal stones, they found a lead cross engraved with Latin words: His si jacet, sepultus, inclitus rex Arturus in insula Avalloni, roughly translated, "Here lies buried the renowned King Arthur on the Isle of Avalon." This inscription sent shockwaves through the archaeological and historical communities of the time. And what came next was even more unbelievable: a giant coffin, carved from a single ancient oak trunk. When the lid was removed, the experts were astonished to find the skeleton of a man nearly 10 feet tall, a height far beyond that of any known individual in England's history. Beside him was the skeleton of an average-sized woman, believed to be Queen Guinevere. This discovery sparked a radical theory that King Arthur may have actually been a giant and that his race may have once existed in human history. This event triggered intense interest from scholars and archaeologists. The renowned historian Giraldus Cambrensis personally examined the remains in 1194 and confirmed their authenticity. But as history often goes, things are never as simple as they seem. When Glastonbury Abbey was dissolved in 1539, both the mysterious remains and the lead cross vanished without a trace. The mystery of King Arthur's final resting place grew even more elusive and surreal, giving rise to countless unanswered theories. Some skeptical scholars argue that the entire story was fabricated by monks to attract attention and donations from the nobility. They suggest the lead cross was a forgery, and the giant skeleton may have belonged to an unknown person. Yet, the presence of a nearly 10-foot-tall man found in an ancient coffin at one of the most sacred sites in England remains an undeniable fact. Even into the 20th century, the search for King Arthur's tomb did not cease. In the 1960s, archaeologist Rolig Radford claimed to have re-identified the original burial site of the legendary king. However, Professor Roberta Gilchrist later refuted this, stating, "It's just an unmarked grave in the cemetery, dating from the 11th to the 15th century. There's no compelling evidence that this is King Arthur's tomb." Despite the academic debate, one fact remains. Nearly 1,000 years ago, a skeleton measuring close to 10 feet tall was discovered at Glastonbury. Could this be proof that a race of giants once walked the earth? Or was it merely a coincidence, exploited to craft a legend? The answer remains elusive. The story of King Arthur and the giant skeleton of Glastonbury is like a half-open door, inviting curious minds to step into a mystical realm where truth and legend intertwine. And you, watching this video, do you dare to believe that behind those old, dusty pages of history, a hidden truth might still be waiting to be revealed? As for me, whether or not the truth about King Arthur and the giant skeleton of Glastonbury is ever fully uncovered, one thing is certain. It has opened a door to the great archaeological mysteries shaking the foundations of what we think we know. Because Glastonbury is not the only place that forces us to question the history we've long accepted. From ancient ruins buried beneath layers of earth and stone, to lost civilizations that vanished without explanation, these mysteries challenge the limits of our understanding. So now, let's explore some of the strangest and most controversial archaeological discoveries ever recorded, to see just how mysterious the ancient world still is. 700-year-old tomb beneath a sweet potato field. In 1953, in a small village in Hubei province, China, a farmer was harvesting sweet potatoes when he suddenly discovered a small hard object in the ground that was emitting a faint light. After wiping off the mud, he realized it was a jade hairpin. The hairpin was exquisitely designed, with soft and clearly defined carvings. The farmer didn't know much about jade, but he could sense that this was a treasure. Believing there was something unusual on his sweet potato field, he immediately brought the jade hairpin to the local authorities. After studying the artifact, archaeologists in Hubei concluded that the owner of the hairpin must have been a member of the royal family or nobility, as common people could not have owned such a valuable item. The local museum quickly sent an archaeological team to investigate the site, and they indeed found a 700-year-old tomb right beneath the sweet potato field. Inside the tomb, the team unearthed 2 coffins. Both were in excellent condition, and even the intricate carvings on the wooden surfaces were still clearly visible, leaving the team astounded. However, that was not the most surprising discovery. Upon opening the first coffin, the team found a female body that was well preserved, showing no signs of decay and fully submerged in a liquid. Just a few minutes later, the body suddenly began to deform. The limbs and abdomen started to swell, and the tongue stuck out, similar to the phenomenon observed with the female body from Mawang Dui. The face, which had been intact moments before, now contorted beyond recognition. The archaeological team was horrified. Witnesses reported that the body's abdomen swelled like an overinflated balloon, as though it might burst at any moment. However, shortly after, the body slowly contracted and quickly began to decay. This process happened so quickly that many present at the scene could hardly comprehend what was happening. So why did the body deform? According to Kulishi, this bizarre event was later explained by medical experts. It turned out that the mummy had not been properly preserved, and due to the lack of proper sealing of the coffin, groundwater had seeped in. The body, submerged in water and not adequately preserved from the start, had allowed bacteria, including aerobic bacteria, which require oxygen to produce energy, to thrive. When the coffin was opened, the body immediately absorbed a large amount of air, causing it to swell. Afterward, due to changes in pressure, the gases inside the body escaped, causing the body to contract and rapidly decompose. The team also found a clue to the identity of the tomb's owner on a piece of wood inside the coffin, which was engraved with the words, Madame Tan. So who was Madame Tan? Archaeologists searched historical records for this name, but found no traces. This was not surprising, as in feudal society, a noblewoman's status was often not highly documented, making it unlikely to find records. The experts then pinned their hopes on the second coffin. Fortunately, inside the second coffin, there was a tablet that revealed the male tomb owner's name, Huang Cheng-kun, born during the Song Dynasty from 960 to 1279 and passed away during the Yuan Dynasty from 1271 to 1368 at the age of 78. The man was a government official, which, for those who may not know, would be equivalent to the head of a city today. 1,700-year-old tomb of a barbarian. You've probably heard of the barbarian tribes, the warriors from the cold northern lands living at the fringes of the Roman Empire, who once made even this mighty empire tremble. But could you imagine that, after centuries, One of them would leave such a profound mark that even modern archaeology would be stunned? Next, let's explore a thrilling archaeological discovery in the peaceful village of Gerstetten, located about 40 miles east of Stuttgart, Germany. Deep within this seemingly forgotten countryside, archaeologists uncovered a 1700-year-old tomb, the final resting place of a man believed to belong to the Barbarian tribe, also known as the Barbarians. This tomb was discovered in early May during an excavation for a new housing development project. What makes this discovery special is not just its age, approaching 2 millennia, but also the craftsmanship and historical value hidden within. This was no ordinary grave. It was surrounded by a wooden chamber, isolated yet striking in the area. Inside the tomb were the remains of a man, believed to have been around 60 years old at the time of his death, buried with many valuable items, a testament to his high status in his community. Among the items found were pottery, a fine-toothed comb, and notably, a high-quality glass cup, believed to have been taken from the Roman fortress Guntia, now known as Günzburg. Interestingly, while some of the artifacts clearly showed Roman influence, others had distinct characteristics from the Elbe-Saale region in central Germany, hundreds of miles away from the burial site. This suggests that the man not only lived during a time of interaction between the Roman world and the Germanic tribes, but was also a vivid representation of the complex connections between cultures at the time. Gerstetten lies near the northern boundary of the Roman Empire, in the Upper Germanic region. Further beyond was Magna Germania, the land of many different Germanic tribes. The Roman limes, the Roman frontier, was heavily guarded by troops stationed in fortresses like Guntia. However, the Germanic people, with their unique customs and burial practices, continued to thrive beyond direct Roman influence. The Romans referred to them as barbarians, due to their strange language and unfamiliar culture. According to researchers, the man buried in Gerstetten was likely a member of the Alemanni tribal alliance, people who lived near the Upper Rhine Valley. Tombs of the Alemanni from this period are extremely rare, making this discovery even more valuable. Experts believe the man was buried sometime between 263 and 342 AD. Typically, tombs of this type were found in groups of 5 to 12 individuals, and archaeologists believe that at least 2 more tombs may still be hidden in the surrounding area. This discovery not only offers a clear snapshot of a turbulent historical period, but also serves as a vivid reminder of the interaction and even collision between 2 worlds, Roman civilization and the so-called barbarian Germanic tribes. One tomb, one story, but an entire historical treasure waiting to be unlocked. The oldest stone tomb in Sweden and the mystery of the missing skulls. Specifically, in central Sweden, archaeologists have uncovered a stone burial chamber from the Neolithic period, one of the oldest stone tombs ever found in Sweden, and even in all of Scandinavia. Remarkably, inside this tomb, scientists discovered the remains of at least 12 individuals, including infants and the elderly, suggesting that this wasn't a solitary burial site, but rather a collective tomb used over multiple generations. However, what is most astonishing is not just its ancient age, but also the mysteriously missing bones. Carl Goran Sjögren, an archaeologist at the University of Gothenburg and the lead author of this study, noted that many skulls and long bones, such as thigh and arm bones, were missing, while smaller bones like those from hands, feet, ribs, and teeth were still found. The tomb, remarkably intact since the Stone Age and showing no signs of being disturbed by tomb robbers or earthquakes, indicates that the missing larger bones might have been removed either right after the burial or soon after. So, what happened? Could the ancient people have intentionally removed the most important bones for some reason? Researchers currently lean toward the hypothesis that this was part of an ancient burial ritual, where skulls or large bones, which held symbolic significance, might have been kept separately, reused in spiritual ceremonies, or even turned into sacred totems. Sjögren emphasized that what they discovered is very different from typical stone tombs, opening up a fascinating new avenue of research into the beliefs and burial customs of Stone Age people. While no signs of violence or trauma were found on the bones, scientists continue to work on decoding DNA to determine if the individuals buried together were part of the same family, and if they had any genetic disorders that might explain this unusual practice. Beyond that, chemical analysis of the bones also provides rare insights into the lives of these ancient people. They lived in a primitive agricultural society, cultivating grains, raising livestock, and consuming dairy products, clear indicators of advanced settlement and production practices in prehistoric human life. What do you think? Do you believe the missing bones were taken for sacrificial rituals, or is it merely a coincidence of time and custom? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments for a lively discussion. Thousands of strange skeletons in the tomb of Emperor Qin Shi Huang. In 1974, a historic discovery stunned the global archaeological community when the tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, was found in Xi'an, Shanxi province. This marked a pivotal moment in uncovering the mysteries surrounding the life and death of this legendary emperor. Since then, continuous archaeological excavations have been carried out, revealing many unanswered questions about the tomb of Qin Shi Huang. These discoveries not only surprised experts, but also unveiled mysterious stories about ancient customs and the lives of the people of that time. One of the most remarkable discoveries was the colossal terracotta army found within the tomb, consisting of thousands of life-sized warrior statues. These soldiers were meticulously crafted down to the finest details, from their clothing and weapons to the expressions on their faces, all reflecting the grandeur and power of the Qin dynasty. In addition, archaeologists also uncovered numerous weapons, armor, chariots, and other items, all buried with the emperor to protect him in the afterlife. An equally shocking discovery was the finding of the remains of concubines, who were believed to have followed an ancient custom of ritual burial, where they were sacrificed to accompany the emperor in the afterlife. This practice reflects the absolute devotion and loyalty of the concubines to the emperor. However, what truly astonished experts even further was the discovery of thousands of animal skeletons within the tomb. After examination, scientists identified at least 12 different animal species, including horses, deer, elk, fish, crabs, chickens, goats, swans, cranes, and other creatures like clams, snails, and oysters. The remarkable thing is that all these animals were believed to have been buried alive alongside Emperor Qin Shi Huang. The ancient belief in as above, so below suggested that death was not an end, but a transition into the afterlife. Thus, Emperor Qin Shi Huang was buried with vast amounts of gold, silver, jewels, valuable artifacts, concubines, and animals to ensure that his afterlife would be as magnificent as his life. These animals were not merely burial items. They reflected a profound belief in life and death. Another discovery from the animal skeletons provided insight into human domestication of animals during the Qin Shi Huang era. These animals were not only kept as pets or for food, but also played an important role in other activities, such as transporting goods. The large number of animals buried with the emperor shows that the Qin civilization had reached a high level of development in animal domestication and their use for various purposes. All these discoveries provide a clearer view into the customs and life of one of China's most powerful emperors in history. Qin Shi Huang, with his determination to maintain power and greatness, not only built a mighty empire, but also left an invaluable archaeological legacy that helps us better understand the rituals and beliefs of ancient society. The skeletons of 3 children holding each other tight. What would you do if one day, in the peaceful countryside of England, a secret buried for 5,000 years was uncovered? Not gold or silver, not ancient weapons or a treasure, but a scene so heartbreaking that even the toughest archaeologists would shed tears. In Burton Agnes, East Yorkshire, a seemingly insignificant land, scientists discovered an ancient grave with a touching and tragic story. 3 children were buried together, holding each other tightly as if they were still seeking the last warmth amidst the cold stone and earth of 1,000 years. This discovery wasn't just a monumental step in archaeology, but also a deeply human moment that left the world in silence. In the grave, the oldest child held the 2 younger ones, while the 2 little ones' arms were intertwined. That bond and love, despite being buried for millennia, remained evident to modern eyes as an eternal testament to familial love, to the protective instinct of humans, even in the face of death. This tomb was discovered in 2015, and since then, it has been hailed by the British Museum as one of the most important archaeological discoveries related to prehistoric art in Britain in the last 150 years. But the significance is not only due to the poignant skeletons. The tomb also contained incredibly valuable and rare artifacts: a ball made of chalk, a bone nail that had been smoothed, and, most notably, a stone drum with exquisitely carved patterns. The most remarkable thing about this stone drum is that it wasn't placed randomly. It was positioned directly above the oldest child's head, as if guarding their soul, or perhaps it was a sacred talisman. According to archaeologists, the drum wasn't a musical instrument, but seemed to be a symbolic or spiritual sculpture, representing protection, prayer, or hope. It may have been the final offering the family placed in the grave, entrusting with it all the unspoken words. Neil Wilkin, the curator of the Stonehenge World Exhibition at the British Museum, was moved when sharing this discovery. He said it was one of those moments he could never forget in his career. There's something that protects this grave. It's almost as if they're protecting the vulnerable child. This scene is truly heartbreaking. No one knows what happened to that family, but everything in that grave told me about an emotional moment. Indeed, while adults of that time were usually cremated after death, these children were buried intact, an indication that they may have been seen as souls that needed to be protected, even in death. And 5,000 years later, it is that love, that primal and pure emotion between three children, that has transcended time and touched the hearts of all humanity today. The Rising and Sinking Temple on the Sea in India. Do you believe there is a sacred temple in the world that sinks into the sea every day and then rises again like a miracle? It may sound like science fiction, but it is the truth in India, where the Stambeshwar Mahadev Temple, also known by the special name the Sinking Temple, quietly stands on the Arabian Sea coast in the town of Kavi Kamboi, Gujarat. Approximately 150 years old, Stambeshwar Mahadev is a temple dedicated to the god Shiva, where faith and nature miraculously merge, leaving thousands of visitors in awe. Nestled between the Cambay Gulf and the Arabian Sea, this small temple is not architecturally elaborate. It is simple, modest, and soaked with devotion. Yet, it is precisely this simplicity that gives it a unique charm, making it an unmissable destination for Hindu pilgrims and curious travelers alike. You can easily reach the temple by car or taxi from Vadodara, which is about 47 miles away. If you choose to travel by train, Vadodara station is the nearest stop, making the journey convenient for those exploring this wonder. According to ancient Hindu legend, the Stambeshwar Mahadev temple was built by Lord Kartikeya, the son of Shiva. The story begins with a battle between Lord Kartik and the demon Tarakasura. After defeating the demon, Kartikeya did not feel pride but instead guilt for the killing. Seeing this, Lord Vishnu comforted him, saying the act was necessary to protect the people from the evil forces. However, seeking redemption and peace, Lord Kartik decided to follow Vishnu's advice and built the temple as a prayer for forgiveness to the universe and the gods. What makes Stambeshwar Mahadev legendary is the daily natural phenomenon. When the tide rises, the temple is completely submerged in the sea, leaving only the vast water and a few flowers drifting. Flowers that worshippers float to show reverence. But as the tide recedes, gradually, the walls, steps, and eventually, the Shiva Lingam statue, standing over 4 feet tall, emerge, as if by a cosmic miracle. The temple's rising and sinking is not only a natural occurrence, but also a powerful symbol of reincarnation and purification in Hindu culture. To fully experience this miraculous event, it is best to spend the day here. Early morning is the ideal time for meditation in the peaceful surroundings, right after the temple emerges from the water. At this time, you can walk around the temple, listening to the sound of the waves blending with prayers, creating a feeling of complete tranquility. By noon, you can dine at the nearby restaurants or choose free meals provided by the temple for the devotees. After lunch, the miracle continues. The sea rises, slowly covering the walls, submerging the temple's corners. This dramatic moment causes many to gasp, as if the entire temple is silently sinking into the ocean, carrying with it sacredness and glory until night falls, enveloping this mystical place. The combination of majestic nature, the moving spiritual story, and the serene beauty of the ancient architecture has made Stambeshwar Mahadev Temple one of the most unique religious destinations in the world. A place where humans, deities, and the sea unite in an unforgettable spiritual dance. Chand Baori Stepwell. Mysterious India has long been famous for its exceptional ancient architectural wonders, such as the Taj Mahal temple. However, when it comes to truly unique and astonishing structures, the Chand Baori stepwell stands out. Also known as the Moon Well, it is a stepwell located in the state of Rajasthan, India. The Moon Well was constructed sometime between the 8th and 9th centuries during the reign of King Chanda of the Nikumba dynasty. Today, due to unsanitary water conditions, the well is no longer in use. However, it continues to be a marvel, attracting thousands of international visitors each year. Chand Baori is believed to be named after a local ruler, Raja Chanda. However, no historical evidence has been found regarding the exact date of construction or its formal establishment. The structure of the Chand Baori stepwell is square in shape, consisting of 3,500 steps spread over 13 levels, descending approximately 100 feet below ground. 3 sides of the well are designed with staircases that align parallel to the walls, perfectly arranged. The remaining side features a modest yet sturdy temple, which was once believed to be a royal retreat. From above, the well appears as a series of massive angular stone blocks intricately interwoven and aligned, narrowing as they go deeper into the earth, revealing a greenish pond at the bottom. The sight of this vast pool of water at such a depth is overwhelming, giving the impression of a dizzying abyss. Due to the hot and dry climate in Rajasthan, water storage is critically important. Chand Baori functioned as a giant reservoir, capturing both groundwater and rainwater flowing down the steps. This stepwell provided water to the local people for many centuries before modern water systems were built by the Indian government. Chand Baori is often referred to as a giant fan because the air at the bottom of the well is 5 to 6 degrees cooler than the surface. During the hot summer months, it becomes a gathering place for the locals. Researchers claim that the construction of Chand Baori took a significant amount of time and effort due to the complexity of the architecture and the need for precision during its execution. This further supports the notion that, alongside ancient Egyptian civilization, India was a cradle for the development of mathematics. There is also a local legend among the people of Rajasthan that the construction of Chand Baori was completed in a single night with the help of divine beings. Hopi myths. Beneath the Earth's surface lies a mysterious world, one filled with magma, volcanoes, and earthquakes. Can life survive in such a harsh environment? Could an ancient civilization exist? These questions have long fueled human imagination and given rise to countless myths and legends. One such group, the Hopi people, a Native American tribe from northeastern Arizona, has a rich mythology about the world beneath the earth. According to their stories, they encountered beings living underground who offered their help. Some of these underground beings are said to resemble ants, some like spiders, and others like snakes. All of them are described as possessing extraordinary abilities and intellect. The Hopi people are believed to have descended from ancestors who lived around 500 BC. Their language belongs to the Uto-Aztecan family, and a distinct feature of the Hopi men is that they do not grow facial hair. However, their ceremonial objects often depict beards, and gods with beards appear in their myths. The Hopi explain this by saying that their gods had beards, and that beards symbolize different professions and identities. Despite this, the Hopi do not need beards because their work and identity are determined by the gods. A central theme in Hopi mythology is the underground world. The Hopi believe that the beings who live beneath the earth are their friends and teachers. When catastrophes occurred on the surface of the earth, these underground beings helped the Hopi escape to live and learn in the underground world. After the disaster subsided, they guided the Hopi back to the surface to continue life. To show gratitude to the beings from beneath the earth, the Hopi perform various rituals, such as creating fake large beards or styling their hair in special ways to mimic the underground beings. They also paint murals depicting the underground world. Interestingly, the Hopi call the ants Anunnaki, the same name as a Sumerian deity mentioned in the Earth Chronicles. The myths and legends of the Hopi people are an integral part of their culture and spirituality, reflecting their understanding and reverence for the natural and spiritual world. They also express the Hopi's identity and perseverance in their mission and heritage. These stories continue to intrigue and captivate many, and some even suggest that the Hopi legends may have some scientific basis. For example, the underground world might symbolize a network of underground caves, and the beings who live there could represent ancient civilizations or races. Of course, these are just speculative theories without convincing evidence, but they demonstrate the irresistible allure of Hopi myths, which help us explore the mysteries of the underground world and fuel our imagination and curiosity. Mermaid monster appeared next to ancient tomb. Archaeologists working in the barren desert of Saqqara, near the famous royal tombs, were shocked to discover the fossilized remains of an extinct sea monster. Initially, they had intended to search for ancient tombs or mummified animals, such as cats, dogs, crocodiles, and birds, animals that were often sacrificed alongside their owners or buried as elaborate and luxurious grave goods in tombs and grand pyramids. However, the large skeleton they uncovered turned out to be a long-extinct relative of the manatee. Manatees, massive creatures that typically live in faraway, cold oceanic regions, are also known as mermaids. According to various legends, manatees were once believed to be women transformed into sea creatures, often helping ships in distress. In Malaysia, they are called dugong, which means sea maiden in the local language. Westerners, too, have compared the shape of the manatee's body, especially when it surfaces from the water, to a woman holding a child, and its calls are often likened to singing. Manatees are mammals, but tens of millions of years ago, they evolved to adapt to life in the ocean, with their 4 limbs transforming into flippers. This sea monster skeleton had fully transformed 4 limbs. The discovery baffled scientists. The hypothesis that it was an animal brought from the sea and buried with Egyptian nobles, similar to the treatment of cats or crocodiles, seemed highly unlikely. As a result, the scientists decided to use more advanced techniques to analyze the bones. The results revealed that the creature lived 40 million years ago, long before the nearby tombs were constructed, suggesting that it swam in the area. Of course, it couldn't have swum through desert sands, which means that 40 million years ago, this desert was actually an ocean. In 2016, another desert in Egypt, Wadi el-Hitan, revealed several whale skeletons. The discovery of this ancient manatee further supported the theory that Egypt, millions of years ago, was a shallow sea full of sea monsters. The afterlife legacy of Lord Sipan. In 1987, a massive cluster of tombs from the Moche culture, also known as Mochica, an ancient civilization that thrived from approximately 100 to 750 AD along Peru's Andes Mountains, was uncovered at the archaeological site of Huaca Rajada, near Sipan, on Peru's northern coast. The most famous tomb among them belonged to Lord Sipan, a warrior and ruler of the Moche civilization who was buried with a vast array of gold, silver, and jewels never before seen in this region. The tombs, measuring 16.5 feet by 16.5 feet, were found with wooden coffins in the center, marking the first time scientists had discovered such a tomb in the Americas. Inside the coffin lay the skeleton of a man dressed in royal attire, surrounded by numerous offerings for his journey to the afterlife. Upon analyzing the symbols on the clothing and burial goods in the tomb, scientists concluded that this man must have held a very high status during the Moche period. He was buried with an abundance of gold, silver, and copper items, along with jewelry, a large crescent-shaped headdress adorned with feathers, a mask, chest plates inlaid with hundreds of mother-of-pearl shells, necklaces, earrings, nose rings, a golden and silver scepter, golden fabric strips sewn into his clothing, and golden shields used by warriors. The necklaces were made of gold and silver beads shaped like peanuts, a key food staple for the Moche people. 10 gold beads on the right side represented masculinity and the sun god, while 10 silver beads on the left side symbolized femininity and the moon goddess. Along with Lord Sipan's burial were several ritual items, including seashells, gold and silver rattles, knives, a golden death god mask, gold bells depicting a deity decapitating a person, 3 headdresses, and hundreds of bead necklaces. In total, 451 burial items of various materials were buried with Lord Sipan to accompany him in the afterlife. Ancient Intercontinental Highway. The ancient Inca road system is one of the most sophisticated engineering feats in the world. This highly advanced highway system transformed the Inca Empire into one of the most powerful ancient civilizations in the Western Hemisphere. The intricate and complex network of roads stretched over 20,000 miles, running through Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Argentina, and Chile. Perhaps one of the most famous features of this ancient road system was that it crossed the towering Andes mountain range with steep, heart-stopping cliffs. This meant the ancient Incas had to carve tunnels through the mountains and even create narrow roads along sheer rock faces. What is even more astonishing is that, despite not having the wheel, draft animals, metal tools, or even a written language to exchange information, the ancient Incas were able to build the oldest, longest, and most advanced road system on Earth. This network allowed the ancient empire to traverse more than 1.2 million square miles of its territory with ease. As UNESCO has noted, the extraordinary road system passed through some of the most difficult terrains on the planet, connecting snow-capped peaks of the Andes at elevations over 19,685 feet to the coast, cutting through tropical rainforests, fertile valleys, and barren deserts. One local remarked, "This is not just a stone road, it is a cosmic road." Travel doctors from Bolivia still use this road to walk and recharge their energy. They say the road has a soul. Strangely, along this route, we find nearly every key megalithic structure. This serves as a treasure trove of convincing evidence of the advanced, complex engineering skills of ancient civilizations. What is even more fascinating is that these megalithic structures predate the Inca civilization by 1,000 years, suggesting that parts of the Inca road system could be over 1,000 years older than the Inca Empire itself. Curiously, Inca legends tell that these key archaeological sites were not built by the ancient Incas. When asked who built these magnificent structures, the Incas would respond, "We didn't build them." So if it wasn't the Incas, then who was behind them? Could it have been a pre-Inca civilization that once inhabited the land of the Incas? 66-million-year-old fossil reveals new sea monster. An international research team led by paleontologist Katie Strong from the University of Alberta in Canada has discovered rare fossilized bone fragments of a sea monster in a phosphate mine in Morocco. This area had previously yielded over a dozen species of mosasaurs, ancient marine reptiles. The newly identified species is named Gavialimus almagrabensis, and it lived around 66 to 72 million years ago. These creatures had long, narrow snouts with interlocking teeth similar to crocodiles. The long snout suggests that this species of marine lizard had adapted to a specialized hunting style, or had developed a niche in an ecosystem with many giant predators competing for food, space, and resources. Each species of mosasaur may have evolved to hunt specific prey or develop a unique hunting style, said Strong. For instance, Globidens simplex had large, rounded teeth perfect for crushing shellfish. Meanwhile, the snout and tooth structure of G. almagrabensis would have made it adept at catching fast-moving fish. In the ecosystem of Morocco, resembling an inland sea, not all mosasaurs developed specialized hunting styles. Some species competed for the same prey. However, the anatomical differences across species provide compelling evidence for niche partitioning in this ecosystem among marine lizards. This suggests that predators living at the same time, in the same place, could branch off and follow different evolutionary paths to coexist. The researchers are uncertain how large G. almagrabensis grew, but the fossilized skull alone was nearly 3.3 feet long. Mosasaurs in general are known to be among the largest prehistoric marine predators, with some species growing up to 59 feet long and weighing between 33,000 and 44,000 pounds. 9,000-year-old obsidian treasure. These are two tools made from obsidian, also known as volcanic glass or black glass, a type of volcanic glass. They were hand-excavated at a depth of 105 feet in an area between two ancient hunting grounds, submerged beneath the waters of Lake Huron in the eastern United States. This material is highly valuable in modern times, used for making high-quality surgical knives or decorative gemstones. For Stone Age hunters, obsidian was even more precious due to its ease of shaping, resulting in the sharpest blades. As a result, this material was widely used and traded throughout much of human history. The two obsidian tools found at the bottom of the lake carry three unique values. First, they are incredibly valuable artifacts, not only for their material, but also because they are 9,000 years old. Second, they represent the craftsmanship and tool use of early hunters who settled in America in ancient times. Third, the source of the obsidian has been traced to a distant location, the Rocky Mountains in the northwestern United States, indicating that this was an item exchanged in trade, providing evidence of ancient commerce. For archaeologists, this is quite a shocking detail. Dr. Ashley Lemke, an anthropologist in the Department of Sociology and Anthropology at the University of Texas at Arlington, commented, "This is a rare discovery. These small artifacts reveal social connections across North America 9,000 years ago. The fact that these ancient artifacts were preserved underwater provides a unique treasure, as their integrity is far superior to similar structures found on land." Terrifying discovery. Inside a 2,500-year-old tomb in China, left archaeologists in shock. Have you ever imagined that one day, beneath the seemingly peaceful earth that has slept undisturbed for thousands of years, there could lie a horrifying secret, so terrifying that it made an entire team of archaeologists scream in fear? Today's story isn't a scene from a horror movie. It's a true event that took place in China in December 2006, an accidental archaeological excavation that uncovered a dark secret buried for over 2,500 years. In Shuiku Town, located in Jinghan County, Yichun City, Jiangxi Province, construction workers were using explosives to blast through rocks for a highway project. But immediately after the explosion, they noticed something unusual. The sound echoed irregularly, as if there wasn't solid earth beneath them, but rather some mysterious hollow space. Sensing something strange was hidden below, the workers stopped their work and reported the anomaly to local authorities. When they dug about 40 feet deeper, they were stunned to discover a massive pit. Inside it was an ancient tomb covering more than 1,100 square feet. And the horror had only just begun. Archaeologists were immediately dispatched to the scene. After several days of study, they confirmed it was an ancient tomb dating back over 2,500 years, from the Eastern Zhou Dynasty, specifically the mid to late spring and autumn period, one of the most chaotic and blood-soaked eras in Chinese history. The tomb had a rectangular shape and a complex structure that sloped downward from east to north, suggesting it may have belonged to a noble figure of immense power and status. But what truly shocked the researchers was the number of coffins inside the tomb. Not just one or two, but 47 coffins, all neatly arranged. The largest measured 10.4 feet long and is believed to have belonged to the tomb's primary occupant. Though the skeleton had decayed almost completely, what remained painted a haunting picture of the past. Precious jewelry, gold, jade, hundreds of woven fabrics, and most notably, a 26-inch ancient sword with its hilt and scabbard still intact. According to experts, this artifact alone is worthy of being classified a national treasure. However, the real horror began when the experts opened the remaining coffins. Inside the 46 identical coffins were the bodies of young girls, aged only between 15 and 20. All were found naked, wrapped only in simple bamboo mats. Their faces bore expressions of agony and terror, as though they had endured a brutal death. Even more disturbingly, at night, the bodies appeared to glow. Scientists couldn't believe their eyes, as such a phenomenon had never been recorded before in the history of Chinese archaeology. After thorough analysis, experts proposed a chilling hypothesis. The tomb may have belonged to King Zhongwu, a monarch from the ancient state of Shu, a vassal kingdom that existed from the Xia to the Western Zhou dynasties. The 46 young girls were likely slaves who were forced into human sacrifice, a brutal ancient custom meant to serve the deceased in the afterlife. Human sacrifice was a barbaric ritual in ancient feudal societies. When a ruler died, slaves, often young women, were forced to die alongside him to continue serving him in the next world. These girls were believed to be palace weavers. They were reportedly made to consume poison-laced melon seeds, dying in pain before being buried alive with the king's corpse. The high concentration of toxins in their bodies likely contributed to the preservation of their remains for over 2,500 years. So, what about the glowing phenomenon? Experts later discovered that the bones of the girls contained iron phosphate crystals, a rare compound capable of phosphorescence. These crystals likely formed from a reaction between the toxins in their bodies and underground mineral water, creating a bizarre glow reminiscent of mystical emeralds. This phenomenon had never been documented before in archaeology and left scientists astonished, admitting that we still don't fully understand the secrets buried by history. The excavation of this ancient tomb in Jiangxi not only revealed invaluable archaeological treasures, but also opened a window into a blood-stained chapter of history, where human lives were treated as disposable objects. It's a cold, brutal past, but also a reminder of how far humanity has come, from darkness into light. And sometimes, the most chilling mysteries lie just beneath our feet, waiting to be uncovered. But you know what? What was found in the 2,500-year-old tomb in China is just the tip of the iceberg in the mysterious world of archaeology. Across the globe, there are countless other discoveries that have left modern science bewildered, from ancient structures that defy the construction capabilities of their time, to tombs that contain extraterrestrial artifacts still unexplained. In the next part, we'll dive into some of the most mysterious archaeological finds ever recorded, secrets that might change how humanity understands its own history. So, what are these discoveries? What secrets do they hold? Let's find out, right now. A mummified body intact, after 300 years. What started as a typical morning on a construction site in Xiangcheng County, Henan Province, China, suddenly became the focus of the archaeological world when 3 ancient coffins were discovered at a depth of about 10 feet underground. No one could have predicted that what had been hidden beneath the earth for over 300 years would tell such a mysterious and haunting story about Qing dynasty embalming techniques, one of the most powerful dynasties in Chinese history. The bodies weren't just ceremoniously buried, they were astonishingly well preserved, leaving experts speechless. Among the 3 mummies found, the most remarkable was the body of a man, believed to be a high-ranking official, still wearing his full ceremonial robes. Every stitch, every layer of his garment was perfectly preserved, as if he had just gone to sleep the night before. But the mystery didn't stop there. When the coffin was opened, the man's face appeared vividly lifelike, disturbingly so. Yet within just a few hours, something strange occurred. His face began to turn black, a foul stench filled the air, and a skin sample quickly darkened. Professor Dong Xiong, a renowned historian, exclaimed, "The entire decomposition process that should have taken 300 years happened in just one day." That statement opened the door to a strange possibility. Time itself seemed to have been compressed, lying in wait for the exact moment to erupt, tearing away the tomb's peaceful facade. Scientists proposed various hypotheses, and the answers gradually emerged. According to Professor Dong, it's highly likely the official's family used traditional medicinal herbs in combination with an anaerobic environment to prevent natural decomposition. While the coffin remained sealed underground, surrounded by charcoal and waterproof lacquer, bacteria were unable to penetrate, preserving the body in near-perfect condition. But all it took was one small crack for external air to rush in, awakening time, and the decay process, paused for centuries, resumed immediately. Lucas Nicol, an archaeologist from the University of London, noted that Chinese mummification techniques were vastly different from those of the Egyptians. Instead of using resin or removing internal organs, the Chinese placed the body in a large coffin, buried it in a sealed chamber, and relied entirely on natural conditions, humidity, oxygen, and temperature, to preserve the remains. In this case, the lacquered wooden coffin, placed within layers of charcoal, created an ideal environment to block out bacteria and mold. And this wasn't the first time China stunned the world with miraculous mummified discoveries. In 2011, in eastern China, the mummified body of a noblewoman from the Ming Dynasty was unearthed. Her entire body and burial items preserved in nearly perfect condition. These discoveries do more than reveal ancient mortuary techniques. They open a window into the past where faith, medical knowledge, and a deep understanding of nature were combined. Within every layer of soil, in each ancient coffin, lie fragments of history, not just stories of death, but insights into how people once viewed life, honor, and eternity. And when time suddenly unravels in a single instant, we're reminded that the past never truly rests. Never. An ancient Egyptian tomb, dedicated to the goddess of fertility. Over 3,500 years ago, amidst the sun-scorched deserts and barren cliffs of Deir el-Bahari, a sacred area near modern-day Luxor, a great civilization left behind a stunning legacy that continues to awe us to this day. In a recent groundbreaking discovery, archaeologists unearthed a grand temple, once devoted to the powerful fertility goddess Hathor, the divine patroness of love, music, and rebirth. This site was part of the ancient Hathor cult complex and directly connected to the legendary female pharaoh Hatshepsut. But the true marvel wasn't just the temple, it was what researchers now call a sacred garbage dump, a forgotten archaeological treasure buried for centuries. Imagine this. Beneath the arid ground lay a corridor nearly 50 feet long, filled with shattered relics, small clay statues, fragments of glazed ceramic jars, clay bull figurines, amulets, and even limestone and granite statues representing Hathor. No one expected that items once offered to the gods, once central to the most sacred rituals, would end up discarded by temple priests. Yes, that's right. This wasn't a shrine, but an overflow disposal area for the Hatshepsut temple. The discovery shocked archaeologists with its irony, yet its historical value is immense. Professor Patryk Chudzik, director of the Polish-Egyptian Archaeological and Conservation Mission, stated that his team uncovered countless artifacts dating from the New Kingdom, spanning 3 glorious dynasties, the 18th, 19th, and 20th dynasties, between the 16th and 11th centuries BCE. If you think this site had already been thoroughly examined, think again. In the late 1800s, Swiss archaeologist Edouard Neville first discovered the tomb but ignored the garbage dump, dismissing it as meaningless debris. In the 1920s, an American expedition revisited the temple, but again, overlooked this unique deposit. It wasn't until spring 2021, nearly 2 centuries later, that Chudzik's team began investigating the forgotten area and uncovered a stunning truth. Each discarded item turned out to be a vivid testimony to the rich religious life of ancient Egyptians. There were statues of fairy-like figures representing Hathor, finely handcrafted pottery, and votive offerings in the shape of sacred cows, animals deeply associated with the fertility goddess. These were not lifeless objects, but manifestations of a profound spiritual belief, a devotion to divine protection for both royalty and the people. Even more fascinating is the knowledge that Pharaoh Hatshepsut herself, one of the rare and powerful women to wear the Egyptian crown, was a devout follower of Hathor. She even built a personal chapel for the goddess within her temple. Every ritual item found in this sacred refuse may once have been part of royal ceremonies, prayers offered to secure fertility, prosperity, and protection for the land. But why were such precious offerings discarded? According to Chudzik, there came a time when the sheer volume of offerings became overwhelming. There was simply no space left in the temple. The priests had no choice but to remove the excess items to a designated area, not as an act of disrespect, but as a practical solution in temple management. Ironically, these discarded relics have now become invaluable gifts to modern archaeology. This discovery not only holds monumental historical value, it also offers a gateway into the spiritual, cultural, and social life of a once mighty empire. In the near future, this site will be preserved, reconstructed, and open to the public, allowing people to witness firsthand the sacred space that once held the prayers of ancient Egypt. A dump, a tomb, a temple, and a glorious chapter of history once thought lost, now comes back to life in the heart of the desert, thanks to the perseverance, passion, and the trained eyes that see value in the seemingly mundane. Construction worker stumbles upon ancient tomb seen before him, leaves him trembling and collapsing. It's often said that life is full of wonders and can bring you great surprises. For one construction worker, however, the surprise was far from welcome. It was downright terrifying. According to China's KK News, on a March morning in 2018, the worker arrived at a construction site as usual. The team was building a structure, and while digging the foundation, unexpectedly uncovered a large ancient tomb. The worker and his colleagues were initially thrilled, thinking the tomb might contain valuable antiques or even gold and jewels. Everyone eagerly dug deeper into the earth to uncover these treasures. But upon seeing the tombstone, the worker's face went pale, his body trembled, and he collapsed to the ground. His colleagues rushed to see the tombstone and were equally shocked, their limbs going weak. What caused such terror? The tombstone bore the exact name of the worker. Everyone believed it was an ominous sign, especially the worker himself. After discussion, they decided to call in archaeological experts for an assessment. The experts reassured the worker that the name on the tombstone was merely a coincidence. The tomb belonged to a high-ranking official from ancient times who happened to share the worker's name, meaning it wasn't the bad omen they feared. Relieved by the explanation, the worker finally calmed down. In reality, having the same name as someone else is quite common today. In fact, you might encounter multiple people with your name throughout your life. Have you ever had a strange encounter with someone who shares your name? Let us know in the comments below. Rare tomb, carved into the heart of a mountain. Suzhou, Jiangsu, China, is known as the birthplace of Liu Bang, and a region with a long history and influential culture. In February 1981, at the foot of Gui Mountain in western Suzhou, a group of local villagers stumbled upon the burial tomb of Liu Ju, the Xiang king of Chu, the 41st king of the Chu state at the time. Upon excavation, the public was astonished by the tomb's scale and intricate architecture. The tomb was built into the slope of Gui Mountain, divided into two south-north corridors with a total of 15 chambers. This ancient tomb was vast and meticulously crafted, showcasing the extraordinary skill of the artisans of that era, while leaving behind many mysteries for future generations. The southern corridor led to the tomb of the Xiang king, while the northern one led to his wife's resting place. The corridors stretched 184 feet in length. The entire tomb spanned 7,535 square feet, with a volume exceeding 91,818 cubic feet, carved out of the mountain's core. Considering the relatively primitive tools available at the time, how the artisans hollowed out the mountain without causing landslides remains an unsolved mystery. This tomb is considered a rare feat among the many ancient tombs excavated in China. The two south-north corridors were dug parallel to the tomb's central axis, with a distance of 62 feet between them and an error margin of just under 16,000. In simpler terms, if extended, the corridors would not intersect until reaching Xi'an, 621 miles away. The corridor's floors are higher inside and slope downward toward the outside, with a height difference of 20.75 inches and a gradient of just 1/1000th of a degree. The corridors of the Xiang King's tomb are among the most precisely constructed tunnels in the world to date. Without advanced tools in ancient times, how the craftsmen achieved such precision remains an open question. Beyond the tunnel's near-perfect alignment, the stone blocks in the southern corridor baffled archaeologists. When the tomb was first discovered, massive stones blocked the passage to deter grave robbers. These stones were stacked in 2 layers of 13 blocks each, with each block weighing between 6 and 7 tons. When workers planned to remove the stones, they were astonished to find the joints between them so tight that not even a coin could fit between the layers. The origin of these stones also puzzled archaeologists. Beyond the long corridors lies the tomb of the Xiang king, consisting of 8 chambers, each carefully excavated. Archaeologists noted that the corridor walls were polished smooth to ease material transport, while the main tomb's walls were left rough for aesthetic reasons typical of the era. Large square stone pillars were found in all chambers, which experts believe helped prevent landslides. These pillars were meticulously polished. The tomb ceiling wasn't a flat surface, but was adorned with diamond-shaped patterns to avoid visual monotony. The craftsmanship of the tomb's construction is evident in its intricate details. The Xiang King's tomb is far from ordinary, hiding many mysteries. When the main tomb was opened, a life-sized shadow appeared on the northern wall near the king's coffin, dubbed the Chu King welcoming guests. Historians interpret this as the king greeting visitors to his tomb. In this grand tomb, archaeologists uncovered numerous valuable artifacts. However, the tomb's mysteries, which surpass our current understanding, remain its most striking feature. These unanswered questions continue to challenge experts seeking answers. The mysterious tomb beneath the Black Water Well. In ancient China, burial customs were rich and varied, as people placed great importance on funeral rites. When burying nobility, valuable items, sometimes priceless treasures of humanity, were often placed in tombs. One day in Jiangsu, China, locals noticed black water seeping from a well. After experts investigated, they exclaimed with joy, "We finally found it!" The story begins in the 1970s in a remote village in Jiangsu, where a man was digging a well in his yard for water. At a depth of about 10 feet, he encountered something bizarre. Black water began to rise. Initially, he thought it was murky, shallow water, but as he dug deeper, he hit a hard layer of soil that stopped him. Puzzled by the unusually solid foundation, he tried digging elsewhere, but the results were the same. The strange water was soon forgotten. 20 years later, in the 1990s, the local government decided to redevelop the area. They hired a professional geologist to survey the land. At the house where the well was dug, the geologist noticed several large pits filled with black water. Suspicious, he began an investigation. After thorough examination, the team discovered greenstone slabs in the black water. Geologists called in archaeologists, who, based on initial signs, concluded that an ancient tomb likely lay beneath. After meticulous investigation, archaeologists confirmed that the tomb under the black water belonged to a descendant of Sima Yi, a highly influential figure during China's Three Kingdoms period, often compared to Zhuge Liang. His descendants later overthrew the Wei dynasty and established the Western Jin dynasty. The tomb was identified as the resting place of Sima Yi, believed to contain numerous treasures. Careful excavation revealed 9 tombs, thrilling the experts. In 280 CE, after Sima Yan, a descendant of Sima Yi, became emperor, he appointed Sima Huang to govern what is now Jiangsu, China. In 296 CE, Sima Huang died of illness and was carefully buried. However, historical records never mention the mountain or location of his burial, making his tomb a mystery for thousands of years. This discovery was a serendipitous find of Sima Huang's resting place. Experts noted that 8 of the 9 tombs were reburials. Unfortunately, all 9 had been looted by grave robbers long ago. Fortunately, some artifacts remained untouched, providing crucial information for archaeological and historical research. These cultural relics offer insights into the Three Kingdoms and Western Jin periods, uncovering long-hidden mysteries, a significant achievement for Chinese archaeology. A 6 feet 4 inch puppet in an ancient tomb baffles experts. In December 1978 lunar calendar, Laixi, Shandong, China, saw an influx of strangers, making the area unusually bustling. Villagers had stumbled upon 2 ancient tombs while gathering soil from a field. The village head promptly contacted authorities, and archaeologists rushed to the site. During excavation, they found tomb number 2 to be particularly unique. Unlike typical stone tombs, this one was wooden with a heavy coffin. Everyone speculated about its occupant. To their surprise, the owner was a life-sized puppet. Further excavation uncovered bronze, lacquer, iron, and jade artifacts. Experts concluded the cemetery dated to the mid to late Western Han Dynasty. The archaeologists carefully transported the puppet to a research institute for detailed analysis. Standing at 6 feet 4 inches, taller than most people, it was remarkably well preserved, with only slight rot on the abdominal wood panel, not affecting its overall quality. The puppet was crafted from 13 wooden strips forming the body and limbs, with joints mimicking human bones. Using traditional mortise and tenon techniques, the puppet could perform various movements. Its head, carved from a single piece of wood, featured lifelike details like ears, eyes, mouth, and nose. A shallow groove, 0.8 inches deep and 0.2 inches wide, ran along the hairline, leading experts to speculate it once had hair. Some archaeologists believe the puppet was even dressed when buried. But what was the purpose of this oversized puppet? This remains a perplexing question. After thorough analysis, experts proposed several theories. The first suggests it was a commemorative item. The tomb's owner might have been a skilled puppeteer, and the family created this giant puppet to honor their contributions, burying it as a companion to the afterlife. However, the absence of strings on the puppet raises doubts, as this conflicts with its potential use as a prop. Some argue it's reasonable for strings to be removed during burial to prevent tangling. The second theory posits the puppet as a tomb guardian. Its 6 foot 4 inch stature suggests it could represent a tall, strong figure, possibly protecting the tomb's owner. However, using a puppet as a guard is unprecedented, so this hypothesis requires further study. The third theory links it to burial customs. Puppets were used in various rituals, and experts believe this large puppet may have been part of local ceremonies, possibly for exorcisms, before being buried. But how could such a large puppet be used in performances? This question continues to puzzle experts. While all 3 theories have merit, the puppet's true purpose remains an unsolved mystery. Nonetheless, its discovery provides valuable clues about life, development, and the evolution of puppetry in ancient China. An 800-ton monolithic stone with a shape that challenges scientists. The village of Asuka, located in Nara Prefecture's Takaichi District, Japan, is an ancient land rich with valuable historical relics. In the Ainu language, Asuka means flying bird. The area traces its origins to the tumulus period, 250 to 552 CE, during which keyhole-shaped burial mounds surrounded by moats were common. One of Asuka's most unique features is the presence of intricately carved granite stones scattered throughout the region. The largest and most unusual of these is the Masuda no Iwafune, or the stone ship of Masuda. This monolithic stone, situated near a hilltop in Asuka, measures 36 feet long, 26 feet wide, and 15.4 feet tall, weighing approximately 800 tons. Its top is perfectly flattened, featuring two 3.3 feet square holes and a parallel ridge. At its base, there are grid-like indentations of unknown purpose. What is the nature of this stone, and what was its purpose? Who created it, when, and why? These questions remain unanswered. Scientists have proposed several theories to explain this unique and unusual structure. The stone is located in an area with numerous Buddhist temples and shrines, leading to the hypothesis that it was crafted by Buddhists, possibly for religious or ceremonial purposes. However, the Masuda no Iwafune bears no resemblance to other Buddhist relics, making this theory unconvincing. Another hypothesis stems from its name, Stone Ship of Masuda, suggesting it was carved to commemorate the construction of Masuda Lake, a nearby site now dry and part of Kashiwara City. A more popular theory posits it as an astronomical observatory, as the ridge on the stone aligns with the Asuka hillside and the sunset on a specific day, significant in the lunar calendar and early Japanese agriculture, marking the start of a new season. However, most scholars dismiss this theory, doubting its use as an ancient observatory. Some historians believe the stone is a remnant of a tomb designed for royalty, but this doesn't explain its unusual features, such as the square holes on top, nor the absence of any human remains. To account for this, some suggest it was an unfinished tomb entrance. Interestingly, the Masuda no Iwafune resembles another Japanese megalith, the Ishi no Hoden, which is similarly massive with comparable ridges on its sides. Today, Ishi no Hoden is part of the Oshiko Jinja Shinto shrine, but its original purpose and creators remain unknown, leaving it a profound mystery that challenges experts worldwide. A mysterious elixir, hidden in a waterlogged tomb. As we know, ancient tombs were built with great durability but often harbored hidden dangers. Even seasoned experts face unavoidable risks. After thousands of years, coffins in these tombs have long decayed, leading to unpredictable changes. A decade ago, in 2011, a waterlogged tomb was excavated in Jiangxi Province, China. The condition of the artifacts inside astonished experts, who identified them as rare treasures. In the 1970s, due to land reform policies, numerous ancient tombs were unearthed, revealing stories of world history across various eras. The 2011 discovery of the tomb of the Marquis of Haihun, also known as Liu He, stunned the archaeological community. Liu He, a grandson of Emperor Wu of Han, was the 9th emperor of the Han Dynasty but left little legacy, reigning for only 27 days. He died at age 33, and historical records note that his brief rule sparked considerable public discontent. The tomb of Liu He, massive in scale and submerged in sewer water for centuries, earned the name waterlogged tomb. This water, however, protected it from grave robbers, preserving its cultural relics intact. Archaeologists recorded that the tomb contained numerous rare treasures, including an ancient seal and other gold artifacts. While clearing the tomb, a team member discovered an orange box, initially thought to contain an elixir. Due to prolonged submersion, the bronze casing was no longer intact. When experts carefully opened it, the contents horrified everyone present. After calming down, they realized the box was filled with a large number of golden beetles, so filthy that even the most experienced felt uneasy. After a brief pause to regroup, the experts began studying the find. What was thought to be millennium-old corpses turned out to be a precious treasure. Cordyceps sinensis, commonly known as caterpillar fungus. This rare medicinal herb is widely recognized for its high nutritional value and has been used since ancient times to boost health. Remarkably, the Chinese were using cordyceps as a tonic as early as the Western Han Dynasty. What's astonishing is that these cordyceps, submerged in sewer water for over 2,000 years, remained perfectly preserved, a mystery that continues to baffle experts. Today, these artifacts are stored in a museum, awaiting further study to unlock their secrets. If you have the chance, visit to witness this so-called Chinese elixir for yourself. The twisted remains of the longest reigning Ming Emperor. The emperor who ruled the longest during China's Ming Dynasty was Emperor Wanli, also known as Ming Shenzong. He ascended the throne at the age of 10 and single-handedly ushered in a prosperous era for the Ming Dynasty. In 1956, experts decided to excavate the Dingling Tomb, the burial site of Emperor Wanli. The archaeological project, led by Guo Moruo, took 2 years to complete due to the limited technology of the time, making the process labor-intensive. Numerous burial artifacts were discovered, including jade and silk items. Unfortunately, due to the lack of experience and knowledge among experts at that time, many cultural relics were not properly preserved and quickly deteriorated upon exposure to air. After years of excavation, archaeologists finally reached the innermost chamber, where they found the emperor's coffin. The coffins of Emperor Wanli and his 2 empresses were placed on a bed within an underground palace. Nearby were 26 red-lacquered wooden boxes filled with burial goods. The emperor's coffin was massive, approximately 5.9 feet tall, and contained numerous burial items. By the time of excavation, over 300 years had passed since his burial, resulting in a foul odor emanating from the coffin. The emperor's body had decomposed, leaving only some intact bones. Archaeologists were astonished to find the remains positioned in a peculiar manner. Instead of lying flat, the body was twisted in an unnatural pose. Why this odd positioning? Some experts suggested that the body had been placed normally before burial but shifted during transportation. However, this theory was quickly dismissed because the burial goods inside the coffin were neatly arranged, indicating no disturbance during transit. Further research confirmed that the twisted posture was intentional. In ancient Chinese beliefs, the Big Dipper was considered the emperor's final destination after death. Therefore, the emperor's body was arranged to align with the shape of the Big Dipper constellation. Moreover, not only Emperor Wanli's posture, but also the layout of all Ming Dynasty imperial tombs was designed to mirror this constellation. This suggests that the burial positions of other Ming emperors were similarly aligned with the Big Dipper. Personally, I find this emperor's fate quite tragic. China's deadliest tomb, the burial of over 80 tomb robbers. East Asian cultures, particularly Chinese, have always placed great importance on burial practices. High-ranking officials often prepared or had their descendants construct grand tombs, believing that accompanying treasures would ensure a prosperous afterlife. However, this practice also attracted tomb robbers seeking to plunder these riches. To deter such thieves, many tombs were designed with traps. One of China's most infamous tombs, known as the Deadliest Tomb, is located in Xiangyang, Hubei Province, near the tomb of Emperor Qin Shi Huang. This massive tomb was accidentally discovered in 1981 when locals digging for a new house foundation unearthed a stone tablet with ancient inscriptions. Suspecting the presence of a tomb, they alerted local authorities. Upon excavation, a grand tomb complex emerged deep underground. The tomb dates back to the 5 Dynasties period, 907 to 960, and belonged to a prince. Initially, archaeologists were alarmed to find numerous human remains scattered throughout the site. As excavation continued, more and more mummified bodies were uncovered, leading to the discovery of 80 corpses. These bodies were in various states of decay and posed in different positions, some twisted, mouths agape, and others missing limbs, indicating a tragic fate. What made this tomb so lethal? The trap within was ingeniously simple yet horrifying. The walls and ceiling of the tomb were lined with fine sand, specially treated to be lightweight and non-cohesive. When robbers dug into the tomb, the disturbed sand would flow into the opening, gradually sealing it. Trapped inside, thieves faced suffocation, dehydration, darkness, and fear, leading to a slow and agonizing death. Over the course of a millennium, nearly 100 tomb robbers met their end in this manner, with none surviving. By the time of the 1981 excavation, the sand had settled, allowing archaeologists to enter without triggering the deadly trap. Remarkably, the treasures within the tomb remained untouched, preserved by the ingenious mechanism that had claimed so many lives. The incredibly valuable gilded horse of the Western Han Dynasty. In the 1980s, a small farming village in Shanxi Province, China, relied primarily on agriculture. One day, an elderly farmer in the village accidentally struck a piece of metal while working in the fields. Focused on his work, he set the strange object aside. When he later examined it more closely, he noticed a golden glow beneath the layer of mud. The discovery astonished the villagers, who quickly reported it to the local authorities. When experts arrived to excavate the area, they discovered a tomb dating back to the Western Han Dynasty. Among the many relics unearthed, the metal object found by the farmer turned out to be the most valuable. In fact, it was a gilded horse statue estimated to be worth around 500 million yuan, approximately $69 million USD at current exchange rates. The Western Han gilded horse weighs about 79 pounds, stands 24.4 inches tall, and measures about 29.9 inches in length. The statue features a graceful stance, a well-proportioned and exquisitely crafted body, and exudes an extraordinary aura. Remarkably, it remains shiny even after thousands of years. The gilded horse was crafted with incredible precision. Experts noted that it has 6 teeth, rabbit-like jaws, dragon-like eyes, hair under its ears, patterned markings on its neck, a curved belly, firm muscles, a welded tail, and anatomical features that are remarkably consistent with real equine physiology. In Chinese historical records, biographies, and literature, the image of a golden horse has long been familiar. However, this is the first time a physical example has ever been unearthed. The horse's design reflects a calm demeanor, but it is far from ordinary. Its form is natural and simple, yet full of vitality and realism. The statue is not made of solid gold, but rather is bronze plated with gold, yet it is still incredibly valuable. Why? According to researchers, the core is made of bronze and the outer layer is gilded, giving it a radiant golden appearance. This is thanks to the ancient gold plating techniques used to craft it. The statue's brilliant golden sheen and exceptional durability demonstrate the advanced metallurgy and craftsmanship of the time. As a result, this artifact is considered a rare national treasure, rich in both cultural and historical significance. The gilded horse bears witness to the height of ancient Chinese art and craftsmanship. It reflects the intelligence and extraordinary skills of artisans from that era, and is proof of the splendor of Chinese civilization during the Western Han period. Its distinct beauty also highlights the brilliance of the craftsmen who created it. The discovery of this golden horse caused a major stir at the time. As a cultural relic of the Western Han Dynasty, it holds immense value in terms of history, archaeology, culture, and science. Skeletal remains with severely deformed frontal bone. On the slope of a mountain in Liqiao Town, Henan Province, China, lies a massive earthen mound measuring approximately 197 feet in diameter and 49 feet in height. In 1995, an archaeological team from Henan Province discovered an ancient tomb at this site. The tomb's depth measured about 18.4 feet from the entrance to the top of the coffin and 31.5 feet to the tomb floor. Surrounding the tomb were 7 layers of soil. Each tier measured about 2.6 feet in both width and height and maintained a slope of approximately 33 feet. The fill soil used in the ancient tomb was a reddish-brown loam known for its fine and compact composition. After digging down roughly 4 inches, the archaeological team uncovered ancient tools including wooden spades, shovel handles, bamboo baskets, and various household items. Part of the tomb had collapsed, with the coffin placed in the central section. During the excavation, experts found clear evidence of tomb robbery, with signs indicating that valuable artifacts and burial items had been looted, mostly during the Eastern Han Dynasty. Despite the looting, many burial goods remained intact inside the tomb, including swords, arrows, staffs, chariots, pottery, official robes, armor, white jade statues, and amethyst pieces. Inscriptions on some of the artifacts provided important clues about the identity of the tomb's owner. Based on a spear inscribed with the phrase, "Spear used by Lord Pingya of the city of Chung," and other engraved artifacts, archaeologists believe the tomb belonged to Pingya Jun Chung. a noble who was granted title and land in Pingyu, or Pingya County, part of the ancient state of Chu. The nobleman's personal name was Chung, hence he was referred to as Pingya Jun Chung. Additionally, bamboo slips found in the tomb revealed that Pingya Jun Chung had close relationships with high-ranking figures of the time, including King Wen of Chu, King Zhao of Chu, King Hui of Chu, Pingya Wenjun, and Pingya Zishi. In the western burial chamber, 7 sets of human remains were discovered, along with jade ornaments. These individuals were likely handmaidens of the tomb's owner and were buried around the age of 20. Among them, researchers paid particular attention to one female skeleton that showed severe cranial deformation. The frontal bone of her skull was grotesquely distorted, likely the result of prolonged head binding using fabric. According to experts, this was an ancient beauty practice. Women in antiquity would tightly wrap their heads in silk scarves over long periods to reshape their foreheads and skulls into a narrower, more tapered form. At that time, aristocratic ideals of beauty prized women with small, delicate foreheads and heads. Because this woman had likely undergone such head binding for an extended time, her skull exhibited far more severe deformation than the others. Recent archaeological discoveries have not only shed light on the glorious past of ancient civilizations, but have also stunned the world with their mystery, strangeness, and even shockingly unimaginable elements. From long-forgotten tombs hidden for millennia to colossal underground structures and discarded ceremonial offerings of immense spiritual worth, these findings prove that history is still full of untold stories. Each artifact unearthed is not just a fragment of the past, but a bridge connecting us to the spiritual, cultural, and philosophical lives of ancient peoples. And most exciting of all, the discoveries are far from over. Beneath layers of time and dust, secrets still await revelation. Who knows? Perhaps the next shocking discovery lies just beneath your feet? So if you're passionate about archaeology and love uncovering pieces of the past, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss any future discoveries. For now, goodbye and see you next time.